Today, we're diving into the first Scottish War of Independence. Yes, the real one, not the bagpipe-laden fever dream that Hollywood gave us in Braveheart. Sure, Mel Gibson gave us Blueface William Wallace screaming freedom at the top of his lungs, but the actual war was far messier, bloodier, and full of betrayals, sieges, and tactical brilliance that never made it to the silver screen. Spoiler alert, no kilts, no face paint, and a whole lot more political backstabbing. This war wasn't just Wallace's show. Ever heard of Andrew Moray? Should have. He was just as important, but got completely snubbed by pop culture. And let's not forget Robert the Bruce, a man who went from noble opportunist to Scotland's greatest king, and at one point, a fugitive hiding in a cave. Looming over all this was England's King Edward I, a.k.a. Edward the Longshanks, a guy so determined to crush Scotland that he practically made it a full-time job. So buckle up, because we're about to set the record straight on one of history's most misrepresented conflicts. Battles, betrayals, and the whole lot of medieval mayhem are about to happen.
That can't be William Wallace. I'm prettier than this man. You've come to fight as free men. And free men you are. What will you do without freedom? Will you fight?
The trouble with Scotland is that it's full of Scots.
And the answer to your question is yes. You fight for me, you get to kill the English.
Excellent!
This means war. This means war. This means war.
The Lord tells me he can get me out of this mess, but he's pretty sure you're fucked.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is your host, JT, and we are live on a Sunday, 7:34 p.m., the 30th of March, 2025. And this clicking along like a round wheel instead of a square one for once.
Yeah, we're doing it.
That's what happens when you have no alcohol and no energy drinks. So, will help me to welcome my co-hosts. I have Chance.
Hey, everybody.
And I have Ron.
Hey, welcome.
And that's it. So,
whatever.
Yeah, gentlemen, how we been?
Good.
Yeah. Good enough?
Good.
Decent.
I'll take decent.
Yeah.
Decent works.
Got to watch nail-biting basketball earlier today. The Harlem Globetrotters.
Oh, not
clinched another win.
Oh,
not the Elite Eight.
No.
Who would have ever thought that they would have win?
Right.
Yeah. It's like it's in their favor before the game ever starts.
Yeah,
What?
It's the weirdest.
Speaking of Elite Eight, I watched that Duke and Alabama game last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could not have been more happy with that outcome.
Huh. That's good.
Is that because of your bracket or because of betting or because you just hate Alabama?
Yes.
Yes.
It's fair. I won
Yes.
some money on it.
Yeah.
Here's a fun stat. I know that people want us to get to
Ty's Country Woodshop is with us today.
everything's going, hey, Ty, what's up, buddy?
Hey, buddy.
Not only is he there on a Monday, but now he's here on a Sunday. So
Yeah, well, I shot him quick.
that's fair.
Hey, how you doing? We're
Hey,
mixing
fella.
things up.
Hey, fella.
Yeah.
Yeah, schedules are making us change it. Hey, here's a fun one. So all four number one seeds made it to the Final Four this year.
Yeah.
It's only the second time it's ever happened in the history of the tournament.
Are you serious?
The only other time was the last time that it was also in San Antonio, because it's in San Antonio this year.
Yeah.
And it was also the last time that the games are on April 4th and 7th.
Weird.
And it's all four number one seeds.
I love when those kind of
Yeah,
coincidences
yeah.
just
When
kind of
this-
happen.
The stars align. and
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
Yeah.
If you do have some fun facts about whether it's the Final Four or William Wallace or Scottish independent or even bagpipes or kilts,
Yeah.
which
Speaking.
I heard somebody was going to wear a kilt, but they didn't. But hey,
you both talked me out of it.
I never said no.
Fair. He did.
You want to know why? Because the Scottish didn't even wear kilts till like the 1700s.
Right. No, and I
So-
get that. I was just excited, and then you shot me down.
I can wear a kilt. No, damn it.
Yep.
Please, no.
Your
Oh.
homage to the heritage.
I mean, I'm Irish.
Yeah, I know, but
But-
still,
I do own
I've
kilts.
seen you in a
Mhm.
kilt.
I own 2 whole kilts.
I've seen them in both.
Yeah.
Not at the same time.
Well, that'd be
But
weird. Yeah.
it'd be hard to pull off. It's not like putting an undershirt on.
Yeah, no, it'd
Yeah.
be tough.
Yeah,
It'd be very uncomfortable.
I'm sure.
But
Does that have like an actual pant underneath it, or is it just real?
No.
Is it like
it's
true?
just it is a piece of cloth. that
It's
you
like
wrap
a
around and belt
skirt,
it.
but it's different.
It's like a manly skirt.
It's got pockets.
Yeah.
He has a cargo kilt.
Yeah, the utility kilts is what they're
That's a cargo kilt.
okay. Well, it's
It's
utility kilt is what they are called.
I also
But-
call cargo shorts purse pants, but
You know,
Wow,
'Cause I literally-
that's fair enough.
I put everything in the pockets. I use them.
right? And if you're with any female, you know you're gonna
Or
feel
kids. I mean,
Yeah.
you go dad mode. Cargo shorts or pants are just
Yup.
like
Full blown dad mode.
that's an absolute must.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, you know, it is what it
It
is.
happens. So yeah, if you're listening live, chat rooms are up and running on both the YouTube and the Facebook. Now, look, there's nothing going on tonight. Final Four is set, so there's no more college basketball.
Yeah.
It's March, which means that there's the award shows have already happened. They'll happen in January, February. There's no really new shows that are on, so there's nothing to watch. So why don't you send an invite to all your friends, tell them to come watch, learn about the Scottish War for the first Scottish War for Independence.
Yep.
Help make fun of us, and yeah.
We don't do it enough.
No, we are not self-deprecating enough, but by God, with you guys involved, could get better.
I don't know. I do need an update though
On?
from Ty,
Yes.
where we're at with sales.
And
Because
what's getting closer and closer to being your tattoo?
yes,
Okay.
I thought about it earlier today, and I was going to message him. I was like, you know what? We'll just wait and we'll do it on the air.
Yeah.
Ty, do you have an update for us on that?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat room
Yeah.
and we'll figure it out. So
On the side, I happen to know he's bowling with his league right now, but he's listening and he'll try to chime in as much as he
look
can.
at that
So
guy.
he is
What a-
listening
what a
while he's bowling.
multitasker.
Oh yeah, no, a true fan.
Has he got an earbud in?
I do.
Because
You know,
I
he
know.
sent me a message.
I know it's rhetorical,
not
but-
a picture.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Speaking of earbuds, those two that you have where they translate,
Yeah.
I bought 2 sets and they showed up today. I am so anxious to
You
go
got
home.
2 sets.
Yeah.
Wow.
2 per.
Well, so my oldest has got Worlds for Vex and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And-
yeah.
I mean, you got China, Japan, Turkey, Brazil, all these countries.
Dude, he's
coming
gonna
in.
be like the most popular kid there
Yeah, and so I was
because
like,
he can talk to everybody.
I basically went, well, he's going to need a set because not everybody's going to speak the same language and kind of
Right.
thing. So I was looking at it, I was like, man, I got a 50% off coupon. I'm just going to buy 2 sets for
Might
the
as well.
price of
Yeah,
one. Like, so I got them today, and
The
I'm
only-
like, oh, I got to try them out.
The only warning that I have to give you is sometimes people really do say things that you don't know that they can. Like you're gonna hear things that you shouldn't hear
Yeah,
because they just think that they're getting away with it.
Right.
yeah.
Which is the exact reason my wife refuses to wear them to the nail salon.
Which is fair.
Oh, see,
Completely fair.
I would be the guy to be like, huh?
Oh yeah, no, I would
Maybe
do the
Well, I
exact
don't- I
same,
don't- I don't know.
and then you just show them your phone and go, "You said that?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, guess
because it's
what?
it's so like under the radar that nobody would ever know that you can hear what they're saying.
I know they're like
Great.
they're sleek and all this other stuff. I
Look
mean, it just
look
looks
like
like a
earbuds.
regular earbud. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
speak-
all right.
Speaking of under the radar, if you look at the bottom of the screen right now, if you're on YouTube, we do have all the particulars down there.
What a segue!
Nice.
So
What a segue!
there's Twitter, there's Instagram, which we need to start using more of both.
Yeah,
But there's also our email. So if you have any constructive criticism or suggestions for possible shows if they were to pop up, you want to just ball us out for something we did wrong, by all means, email us.
Yeah.
And it's scrolling across the bottom there. And yeah, make sure you are a part of our Facebook page. And yeah, look at Chance just pointing out where it's at. And make sure you do subscribe to us on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
So
we are growing. It's
we
happening
are. Slowly,
It's
but
slowly,
you know,
surely. But you know what?
slow means
By
quality.
God, it's happening.
Slow means quality, and I'll take
Yeah.
that. So
As
there
of
you go.
right now, we're at 118 subscribers, which
Nice.
is
Nice.
getting up there. It's growing faster than it has since like our initial.
yeah, which
Well, that's
Start,
2
which
more
is
than I
great.
thought we had because earlier today I was talking to somebody about it and was like, yeah, I think we've got like 116. And they're like, oh, well, that's not bad.
So,
and I told you guys both in the beginning, when we start up, it takes about 6 months to get any kind of chemistry built up. It's another 6 months before you find the actual traction. And then every time you change a cast member, then that clock starts all the way over again.
right.
So, and we are pretty close to the 6 month mark.
I
For
think
Chance,
so.
aren't we?
Think so.
October to now.
Yeah, that's
So,
5.
yeah, 5, almost 6 months.
Yeah. That's 6 months. Yeah.
So we're getting there.
We had some time off for a
Yay,
while.
me.
Yeah,
We took February off, basically.
Yeah.
So
that's all good.
yeah, there we go. So invite all your friends and have them subscribe and all that good stuff. So our two favorite listeners are listening
Paul's
live.
here.
Yep, Paul and Ty.
Always.
So there we go. How about we go ahead and jump into the first Scottish War of Independence and we figure out
I'm
the
ready.
difference with William Wallace between Hollywood and reality.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Get it. The first Scottish War of Independence. Why do we say the first? Because there's more than one.
What?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Shortly thereafter, actually.
Spoilers.
So the English just wouldn't take no for an answer. So,
Hmm.
so the road to war. How do we get there? Anybody know? Anybody?
1 foot after the other.
Voodoo
Walking. Oh.
economics. No, I'm just kidding.
Voodoo economics.
Just
What that almost to me sounds like an oxymoron.
well, that's Ferris Bueller, but
What will you do without freedom?
Yeah.
that's all the Scottish wanted.
Freedom.
Just want to be
Free.
free.
Yeah.
So let's talk.
Can't blame
Let's figure it out. Let's talk
Yeah.
about it. So, how Scotland found itself in the fight of its life. So, Scotland, long before it was the land of castles, broadswords, and very stubborn men, was home to a patchwork of ancient tribes who spent most of their time farming, fighting each other, and worshiping things like the sun, stones, probably a few trees, some goats, a stray dog, or something.
Yeah,
But the Romans took one look at the place and then they built Hadrian's Wall to keep the locals out, which for those of you who don't know, it's just pretty much separated England from Scotland.
Yeah.
And
put up a picture of that last
yeah,
show.
yeah. So if you can find another, you can throw back up and show it and go from there. But yeah, then they called it a day. They just kind of left after that point. So,
Oh, we built a wall. We're done.
yeah, great. We built the magnificent wall. So fast forward a few centuries, and the land was a messy blend of Picts and Gaels and Britons and Anglo-Saxons, all vying for control while occasionally getting invaded by their rowdy Scandinavian neighbors. So because nothing spices up medieval politics quite like Viking raids.
Mm.
So by the early medieval period, feudalism was settling in and the concept of kingship started to take hold. Scotland wasn't one big happy kingdom at first. It was a jigsaw puzzle of warring lords, each with their own ambitions, family grudges, and land disputes. The Vikings kept things interesting by periodically showing up to burn villages and claim land. But by the 11th century, the Scots had gotten pretty good at dealing with them. Slowly but surely, the idea of a unified Scotland emerged, and kings like Malcolm III started consolidating power,
There it is.
shaping Scotland into something resembling a nation rather than a medieval free-for-all. So Hadrian's Wall kept England and Scotland apart.
And what's crazy is it's that big. I've got a picture up. I hope you guys can see it there. And it's that big.
Just not
It's not
very.
anything imposing at all.
Yeah.
But it's there. And that's what it
But it was a physical border.
yeah, but that's what it took.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a hey, do not cross this line
Yeah.
on the
Watch it.
Yep.
That's all it was.
yeah. Hey.
It's in your land. It's
Yeah.
our land.
Do not cross
Yeah.
line.
Do you have a flag? No. I've
Yes.
lived here my whole life. Well, no flag, no country. Those are the rules that I just made up.
Yes.
Yep.
So, of course, unified Scotland was only half the battle.
Yeah.
As it would be. Because right next door was, England, a kingdom with a habit of looking at Scotland like an annoying younger sibling who needed to be kept in check. England had already absorbed Wales, and its kings, plural, often had their eyes on Scotland as well. So Scotland's journey from scattered tribes to an actual kingdom was anything but smooth. For centuries, rival clans, and warlords fought over lands, titles, and who got to call themselves king. Some rulers were great warriors, some were brilliant strategists, and others just had a knack for getting assassinated. But through all the infighting, the Scottish identity slowly took shape. Excuse me, trying to human over here and it's not working. By the time of Alexander III, Scotland was a legitimate medieval kingdom with a functioning government, trade, and enough military strength to defend itself, at least until England came knocking. So, slow build. As with most countries, they had to fight off those who wanted their land from them. But they figured it out and got a system in place and it started to work. So,
In true England fashion.
yeah, it's ours. Here's our flag.
Mm-hmm.
See it?
No flag, no home.
No flag, no country. So the rules that I just made up.
Yes.
For those who don't know, that's Eddie Izzard, a British transvestite comedian who does a very historical telling of how England conquered everything.
Absolutely
It's
hilarious.
fantastic. So, the reign of King Alexander III and the succession crisis.
Ooh.
For those who don't know, we're getting into that.
Yeah, I've got a creepy picture of Alexander III getting.
Do you?
Yeah.
See you getting murdered.
No, it's coronation.
Oh, I put it
That
up.
is not a. It's creepy.
It's not flattering, is it?
No, coronation of Alexander III at Moot Hill.
That's like a three-headed something
Yeah.
trying to crown something that's got like a lizard tongue or a
Yeah.
snake tongue. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
That's creepy.
They weren't very good artists back then. I
When that's the only way that you can like illustrate history and what's going on in the world, you'd think
Yeah.
you'd try harder.
don't, well, think.
And now we use cameras and the best cameras and the best of the best. And when the next best comes, we have a next best, not somebody scribbling with charcoal still.
I know,
Good
but
enough,
you know,
good
we have all these cameras and everything. We still can't get a clear photo of Bigfoot.
or Nessie.
If you
which,
look,
which that one I want to believe in Nessie more.
do
I
you?
feel like, yeah, it's a big lake. Bigfoot, if Bigfoot is a real being, he or she lives on the surface of the earth.
Yeah.
That's how terrestrial beings do. Sea animals can live at the surface and below,
Well, yeah.
which gives you a lot more actual room to hide.
True. I mean, we've really only explored what 3% of our world.
Under the surface, below the surface, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think if there was a Bigfoot, we'd have found Bigfoot.
I don't know. Hide and seek champion.
Yeah.
The
Or
reigning hide and seek champion for ever.
You
or
just got to get the jacklings out.
or a bear. You know, it's maybe it's just
A
a
very,
bear.
very large bear.
Yeah.
That walks like a human.
Have you not seen grizzlies go up on their?
Well, no, they
I
can
mean-
walk on two legs, but they don't walk like a human.
Okay.
Walks like a duck, talks like a duck.
It's Bigfoot.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm unsold.
Fair.
Just saying. No, I told you it's not a bear. So, 1249, Scotland handed the crown to a 7-year-old boy. Not just any 7-year-old boy. It was Alexander III. Because history loves to make things complicated. That boy, as I just said, was Alexander III, who inherited the throne after his father, Alexander II, died. That's how you do things.
Right.
Naturally, a child king meant a power struggle as various nobles jostled to see who could pull the royal puppet strings, but Alexander wasn't about to be anyone's pawn. As he grew older, he wrestled control away from his so-called advisors and took charge of the kingdom himself, and to his credit, he actually did a solid job. In 1251, Alexander sealed a political deal with the old-fashioned way, marriage. For those who don't know,
That's how you seal a deal.
Binding agreement.
that's how you seal a deal.
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today.
So he was 9. If in 1249 he was 7, 1251 was when he got married.
Yeah.
9.
Mhm.
That's 3rd grade for today's humans,
Yeah,
Americans.
my son turns 13 next week, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't
He
trust him.
could have been 4 years married
Yeah, I wouldn't.
and running a kingdom.
I barely trust him with a fork.
Yeah,
I'm not going to have him run a country
That-
and be married.
that's saying
so-
a lot.
that's
So-
nuts.
I mean, the kid still had a few years before he'd even sire heirs or anything like that. I mean,
Theoretically, yeah. 3 to 4
holy cow.
Yeah,
biologically.
yeah.
I guess they're going to make sure they got the marriage right by that point.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
We're a little test run right here. If things work out, then maybe down the road. Okay.
You know,
So he wed Margaret, which Margaret of England, which is the daughter of King Henry III. All of a sudden, my words are Englishing.
Hey, as long as you don't blame your contacts.
I'm not. I just
Not
put
yet.
new ones in. I can't even blame them.
Good.
So, anyway, that should have smoothed things over with Scotland's powerful southern neighbor, but just because you marry into the family doesn't mean your in-laws respect you. While Henry III might have had visions of Scotland as an obedient little vassal state, Alexander had other plans. He made it clear that Scotland would remain independent, all while keeping England just friendly enough to avoid a full-blown war. A diplomatic tightrope, sure, but one he managed to walk successfully. I don't think he did that at 9,
No.
but
Diplomacy and 9-year-olds don't really go
he
well
was
together.
married at nice. That still blows my mind.
Yeah.
So Scotland's completely different times, clearly. Scotland's real headaches, though, weren't coming from England. They were coming from the north. The Vikings still had a firm grip on the Hebrides, and Norway wasn't in a hurry to give them up. Enter the 1263 Battle of Largs,
Got it.
where King Haakon IV of Norway, that's a very Norwegian name,
Yeah.
Haakon
Hawken.
IV of Norway. Anyway, he brought his fleet to remind Scotland who was the boss. Unfortunately for him, Mother Nature decided to fight on Scotland's side as storms and bad luck turned the invasion into a complete mess. Haakon limped back to Norway, where he promptly died, probably from a combination of humiliation and bad weather. But by 1266, the Treaty of Perth handed the Hebrides and the Isle of Man to Scotland, and Alexander III got to check and defeat the Vikings off his to-do list.
Nice.
I feel like that Haken needs to have a
Haken.
little more behind it. You know, the Jewish.
Well, Norwegian, not.
Yes, I know, but
Not Jewish.
that's
I was gonna
that's,
say.
that's just kind of what, you know,
a little more
when,
phlegm.
when the
Yeah.
anytime that ever
Yeah.
comes up, I always think of, like, you know, that
that.
just makes me go, it's the
Haken. So not
like the Kraken, but the
like the Kraken, but you had a loogie stuck in your throat. It's a Haken. Anyway, now if this were a feel-good story, Alexander would have ruled for decades, built a nice castle, and retired happily. But history is cruel, and so is fate. Between 1281 and 1283, disaster struck as all of Alexander's children died one by one, leaving only his granddaughter Margaret, the Maid of Norway, as his heir. Putting the future of Scotland in the hands of a small child living in another country, it's kind of risky business, but that's where things stood. Then in 1286, Alexander himself took a fatal fall from his horse during a stormy night. I'm gonna guess he landed on his head or his neck or both. Because, you know, what's medieval history without a dramatic accident?
Yeah, for sure.
With no clear adult successor, Scotland was suddenly kingless, and the nobles were left scrambling to keep things from descending into chaos. To keep the kingdom afloat, a group known as the Guardians of Scotland, my favorite college alt-rock band, by the way,
Guardians of Scotland.
they were put in charge until young Margaret could be brought over to officially take the throne.
Do you want to see what the Guardians of Scotland were depicted as?
Sure.
It is one lonely Scot with a sword at his side holding what looks like a potato.
I thought it was
Why?
Scotland, not Irish.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep. So there's that.
it's either a stone or a potato. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe a giant kidney. I don't know.
I don't know.
Piece of bread.
Anyway,
Piece of bread.
piece of bread.
He's just nibbling on that son of a bitch.
Hey
So-
man, we hungry.
We're
He's-
hungry.
He's hungry. So it wasn't the most stable setup, but hey, it was better than a civil war, at least for now.
Yeah.
The plan was simple: send for Margaret, bring her safely to Scotland, pop a crown on her little head, and call it a day. But
Job done.
if history's taught us anything, it's simple plans don't really go well. So in 1290, Margaret set sail from Norway to Scotland, but the trip was anything but smooth. Sorry. She was only about 7 years old, and medieval sea travel wasn't exactly a luxury cruise. Think less royal yacht and more floating disease trap. Somewhere along the way, she fell gravely ill, either from seasickness, dehydration, or some kind of infection. By the time the ship reached the Orkney Islands, well, she was dead. Spoiler alert. Or at least that's the official story. Some people whisper about more sinister possibilities. And was she poisoned to prevent a foreign-born queen from ruling Scotland? Did someone in Scotland or even England see an opportunity to throw the kingdom into disarray? I don't know. There's no hard evidence, but it wouldn't be the first time history was shaped by a convenient royal death.
Yeah. I mean,
It's like 200 miles from the Orkney Islands to Norway.
Yeah.
I know those boats didn't go fast, but
No.
it couldn't have taken that long.
I mean, a week.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's plenty of time to die.
200 miles in a week.
I don't know.
It's 40 miles a day. Yeah, 32 miles a day.
I mean,
I don't know. That's not moving very efficiently, I would
Yeah.
think.
And I mean, like they said, it was rough seas.
Yeah, right. But it could have been
Yeah.
3 days, and she died.
Yeah.
So
Massive seasickness or an infection. Who knows?
mutiny.
Who knows? Yeah.
Dysentery.
Poisoning.
Yeah.
Somebody pooped in her Cheerios. So with Margaret gone, the Guardians of Scotland had a very big problem. Scotland had no clear heir, and nobles from every corner of the country started making their case for the throne. And then, like a wolf smelling fresh meat, King Edward I of England stepped in. The Scots had invited him to mediate, but Edward wasn't interested in playing fair. He saw this as his golden opportunity to sink his claws into Scotland for good. And that, dear listeners, is where Scotland's fight for independence truly begins. Buckle up, because we're about to get very bloody. You got a king from a country that you've been fighting for independence from, and you invite him to mediate?
Yeah. That's not the way I would do it, but
I don't get it.
nobody asked me.
Well, we would have been around. Maybe they would have.
And it's
Maybe.
like being in trouble with HR and going, "Hey, HR, why don't you come and sit and listen while I yell and
Mhm.
scream at my boss
Right.
for all the things that
Right.
I'm now in your office for?"
Right.
Yeah.
Works great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So with Margaret gone, Scotland had a very big problem. No king, no queen, and a whole lot of power-hungry nobles sniffing around the empty throne like wolves at a feast. The Guardians of Scotland had been put in place to hold things together, quickly realized they were sitting on a political powder keg.
Oh, while eating their bread.
All while eating their breadstones. No fewer than 13 claimants stepped forward, all with a very convincing reasons why they should be king. It was a mess, an aristocratic free-for-all, complete with ancient bloodline arguments, backroom deals, and more family drama than a reality TV show. The Scots needed someone to step up and mediate before things got ugly. Unfortunately, the guy they picked to play judge here was King Edward I of England. That was a terrible idea.
Yep.
In 1291, Edward arrived in Scotland ready to help,
Mm-hmm.
but Edward didn't do help. He did conquest.
Of course he did.
It's quite different.
I mean, why wouldn't he?
Oh, look, free land.
Oh,
Let's put our flag in it. Before he even looked at the claimants, my rule, my flag, my land. He made every Scottish noble swear loyalty to him, just in case they forgot who was really in charge. Then, after letting them sweat it out, he made his decision in 1292. Lucky winner, John Balliol.
That guy.
A man with a decent claim, but the spine of a wet noodle. Edward had no interest in picking a strong leader. He wanted someone who would roll over and play fetch when commanded. Balliol was that guy.
I'm happy you said his name because I was stumbling for that for some reason.
Oh, I think I've used pronunciation guides as much on this as I have any other.
Outside of German ones, good.
Yeah.
German you can seem to do somehow. You're just gonna go, oh
It's Wiener Schnitzel.
something. Yeah.
yeah.
By the way, right next to my hotel in Amarillo was a Wiener Schnitzel.
Yeah.
Seriously?
I was too scared to go eat there.
No, I did when I was either in Amarillo or
It's right off the highway.
Lubbock.
Yeah.
Someplace in Western Texas.
Yeah.
And I did, and I got a hat, and because why not get a hat from Wiener Schnitzel? And it says
Wiener Schnitzel.
something to the fact of the party doesn't start till the wieners come out,
Mhm.
which is fantastic.
Oh, that's
So-
awesome.
Yeah.
I did see that you finally made it to a Boosie's.
A Boosie's.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I set foot in the Buc-ee's and I just don't see what the hype's about.
Big ass gas station.
Giant gas station.
But the thing is they have what you want. Everything.
Yeah. They better that size.
Yeah. But that's why it's
I
everybody
still
can
have
go
never
in.
been. I've never been to one.
Really
They just opened that one up in Amarillo.
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
I think they were building it when I was going through there. Like that's how, because I drove through
Yeah.
Amarillo and
They have 200 gas stalls.
Holy shit.
the one,
200.
the one in Denton's 100, which is the one that I stop at normally because
It's
that's
ridiculous.
about when like everybody's waking up,
Yeah.
and so that's when you have to stop and pee and get gas. Like it's that distance from here,
Yeah.
Wichita to down south. Like if you're going to Dallas, you have to stop.
You got to stop there.
Denton is the place to stop for gas.
So, but everybody makes, oh my God, we got to go to Buc-ee's. We got to stop. Go be there. Blah, blah,
It's
blah.
because it's
I'm like, eh.
and here's the thing, and I'm not a huge Buc-ee's fan,
Yeah.
but it's the same as like the In-N-Out hype.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
No, I
Yeah,
do.
I wasn't
I
real
grew up
impressed.
with it,
I know you do. Yeah.
but at the same time,
In-N-Out is your Spangles.
yeah, but In-N-Out's one of those things like people that-
In-N-Out's way better than Spangles. I'm not trying to say
Yeah.
they're equal food.
Yeah,
I'm just
but
saying.
that's the thing. Like people that go, "Oh my God, you have to go to In-N-Out." It's because you can't get it. It's
right.
like, It's like when
Well,
Yingling.
it's Whataburger. It's
Yeah.
Yingling.
It's like when Yingling was on the east side of the Mississippi, and that's all you could do.
right.
It didn't cross the Mississippi River until what, 3 years ago?
Oh, people were doing Smokey and the Band to try and get it across.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did
yeah.
5 or 6 years ago.
Criminal.
5 or 6 years ago loaded up a trailer with like
Eastbound and
24
down,
cases of
loaded
Yingling.
up and trucking. Paul
Yeah.
and singing. Ah.
Ty said it's blasphemy against Buc-ee's.
Sorry. And you know what? I was told to get Buc-ee's nuts, and I didn't get Buc-ee's nuts. So
Another listener,
Huh? You didn't want no beaver nut?
no, didn't want to get
another
the beaver
listener
nuggets.
says, "Oh my God, I love Buc-ee's. In-N-Out's nasty."
Yeah, it happens.
That's my wife, by the way.
Another listener.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't get the hype. I just don't.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cool. I mean, you're there, and it's very well ran.
It very well, and for the number of people that go into a Buc-ee's, you don't wait in line because they have enough cash registers, they have enough other stuff.
They have registers at every door, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's
I-
ran very well
again,
for its size.
It's very well ran. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's all I got.
Yeah, but-
I got this hat there.
I've been to Buc-ee's.
I got my son a shirt.
Yeah.
Salty Crew.
Mm.
Has an octopus on it, so I got
I got this from the Harlem Globetrotters
it today.
today.
Chances are in the oldest hat.
Mine's a Kojo hat from way back in the day.
Yeah.
Mine's 2 days old. Yours is
One.
2 hours old.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's. I got some
Some sweat marks.
Some sweat, some
dirt
oil.
and grime.
Don't
This,
let-
this is probably the cleanest hat I own right
Got
now.
some
to be honest
oil
with
on
you.
it?
Aside
Yeah.
from my palm and cowboy hats, straw felts, all that other stuff. This is
You lost me.
in ball cap. This is going to be the cleanest one I own right
All my Windsor's ones are sweat through 1,000
Yeah.
times over.
I have so many hats though that I don't have time. I'm not wear them enough to get sweat through to where they look like that. Like that's multiple times.
That's all my hats. Yeah.
Yeah, that's multiple times through.
Yeah.
So anyway,
All right.
shall we get back to John Balliol?
Sure.
All right. Well,
Did it.
Balliol.
At first-
Balliol.
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 There it is.
Okay.
First, Balliol tried to be a proper king, but ruling with Edward breathing down his neck wasn't exactly easy. Edward threatened Scotland like a rebellious country Edward treated Scotland like a rebellious country rather than an independent kingdom, undermining Balliol at every turn. And by 1294, Balliol had enough and did the one thing guaranteed to make Edward furious. He made a treaty with France.
Of course.
Because why wouldn't you? That's like the Red Sox and the Yankees are at each other, and one of them makes a deal with the Orioles.
Well, I mean, anytime you want to bring the French into something, it's always just going to be glorious, right?
Yeah, well, French and English mix like oil and water. So
Yeah.
that's why when America was rebelling from England, we got France on our side.
It was. Oh yeah. Well, F them too.
That's what we do. So it's England's longtime enemy, for those who didn't know. Anyway, this pact known as the Old Alliance was basically Scotland's way of saying, if you mess with us, you mess with French too. Edward, not one to take disobedience lightly, responded the only way he knew how, with overwhelming violence.
Yay.
In 1296, Edward launched the full-scale invasion of Scotland, starting with the brutal sack of Berwick upon Tweed, which for those who don't know that was today in the year 1296. That's the whole reason we're doing this show today.
Sweet.
And that's where thousands of men, women, and children were slaughtered to send a message. Scotland belonged to him now,
Yeah.
not them, him.
That's not sweet.
That's not very sweet. He then steamrolled Balliol's army at the Battle of Dunbar on April 27th, 1296, forcing the king to surrender. Just to hammer the point home, Edward stripped Balliol of his royal insignia. Literally. He pulled the coat of arms off of his tunic and then sent him packing to France. So Scotland was now leaderless, occupied and under direct English rule. And to add insult to injury, Edward even stole the Stone of Scone, the ancient coronation stone of Scottish kings, and hauled it back to England like a trophy.
You know I've got it. The Scone of Stone
Scone of Stone,
doesn't look very fancy.
or the Stone of Scone.
Or it's also known as the Stone of Destiny.
Yes,
But there it is.
it looks more like a like that's what they would.
It looks like a cornerstone of a building. Sort of.
Words are slipping my mind now.
It's that.
It
big.
looks like that's where they
It's large then, huh?
like they have them lean over and then they cut their head off.
Oh, like for like an executioner.
Yeah.
stone?
It looks a lot more like that. The first picture that you put up there, it looked like there was, I don't know, like chains, like handcuffs. Another one, that one. Like that's where they would handcuff you to it, and then you just put your head over the middle.
Yeah.
It's quite the landing strip
Yeah.
for the
Just do
executioner.
it. Get it done. Whatever.
Yeah, just do
Also
it.
known as one of the most ancient and revered symbols of the Scottish monarchy.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So there you go.
Yep.
Stone of Scone.
You wanted pictures.
I did want pictures. Thank you for putting up these Stone of Scone.
I like it.
Ty said I can ruin that in a day or two.
Can run what, the Stone of
I
Scone?
don't know.
Or the hat.
I just saw it. Oh, probably a hat.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So
He's a hardworking man.
you saying I'm not? Because I will.
Yes.
Ruin a hat?
I
No,
know.
hardworking man.
Oh. I'd be more believe
I'm a working man.
in
But-
you would
Finally.
Yeah.
just ruin a hat.
I still ruin hats. Unless I play softball in them. And I haven't played softball in a long time.
Yeah.
So,
It's coming up for a lot of people.
not for me. I'm
Yeah.
old and retired.
Yes. Uh-huh. Me too.
I'm a golfer now.
Pain
Oh,
hurts a lot
geez.
more than it did back then.
Right. It comes more often. The pain.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, for Edward, the war was over. Keep that in mind. He stole the Stone of Scone. So that's his trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Scotland was conquered. The end. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yep.
It's been no, just
Have a
kidding.
good night.
Except
Well,
not
that was
quite.
fast.
Right.
Yeah.
Told you it's going to be a short show. No. Freedom. Anyway, because he was, busy patting himself on the back, something was brewing in the Scottish countryside. A rebellion, as they do.
Right.
And leading it were two men who would become the faces of Scottish resistance, Andrew Moray and William Wallace. As we open the scotch because we drink to independence.
Yeah.
So their uprising would turn Edward's so-called victory into a long, bloody nightmare. Stick around because sort of things start to get really interesting because we're drinking scotch now.
Perfect timing for the scotch.
Right. Oh, Lordy.
Ooh,
What-
I can make that louder, I'm sure.
Right. What's that thing that they say?
What will you do without freedom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read notes and things every now and then.
Do you?
Yeah.
Nice.
What will you do without freedom?
I'm bad at the soundboard, by the way.
I'm trying to do better with the pictures.
Yeah, you do the pictures, I'll do the soundboard, and you drink.
Oh.
You don't shiver at a 14-year scotch.
No, this was like a good shiver.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
those are chill
You
bumps.
can't like
This wasn't
bitter
a
beer face.
No, this was
14-year scotch.
Oh, that's good.
For those that are curious, this
Oh,
is.
that's good.
I don't know. I can't see what my camera sees.
Bottle's probably a little easier.
Maybe.
Maybe. It's just
Yeah.
high production value because that's what we do.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
raw.
Like I said, this
For
is
real.
I had a buddy Christmas time right after I finished my
Nope,
basement.
that's all
he
cleared
brought
out.
me that as like kind of a congratulatory thing because he was one of the ones that helped me on the basement stuff too.
Oh, nice.
We cracked it open that morning and it was just kind of this needs to disappear because this is going to get real bad in a hurry if we leave this bottle up here.
No, this one is a Christmas present, so I'm sharing some Christmas. But I figure if it's Christmas present and it's March 30th, I don't drink it fast enough.
Then it's
Yeah,
I know a couple guys
Yeah.
that can help.
that's funny. I got
Oh.
mine Christmas Day too.
Do what?
I got mine Christmas too.
Nice.
I just got mine now.
There you go.
Hey,
Mm. Man, that is so good.
It's definitely a sipper.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to just slam
Oh
it.
God, I couldn't imagine doing a shot of that.
Nope.
God.
But what can Chance do? He can pop a beer.
Pop top again. So the war begins. Not between us, but in
No, we're
13th century Scotland.
Yeah.
So Edward I must have thought he had wrapped up Scotland nice and tidy in 1296. One quick invasion, one humiliated king shipped off to France, and one stolen coronation stone now decorating Westminster Abbey. Scotland was conquered, problem solved, except Scotland had other plans. While Edward was busy congratulating himself, small pockets of resistance began to form. There weren't powerful lords or noble knights leading the charge. Oh no. There were men with nothing left to lose, rising up against English rule. And at the heart of this growing rebellion were two men. Not one, as Hollywood would make you think, but two. Andrew Moray in the north and William Wallace in the south. Andrew Moray, the lesser known but arguably more effective of the two, came from a noble family that had been thoroughly stomped by Edward's invasion. But rather than accept defeat, Moray escaped English captivity and started rallying the troops in the Highlands. Meanwhile, down in the lowlands, because they're clever with their names, William Wallace was causing problems of his own. Now, Wallace's early life is murky. History remembers him as an outlaw, but whether he was a minor noble or just a really angry peasant is still debated. What we do know is that by 1297, Wallace had made a name for himself by killing the English sheriff of Lanark. Lanark. That's a tough one. Lanark.
Yeah.
That's how you
not
pronounce
easy.
it. Which was basically his way of RSVPing yes to the rebellion.
Nice.
Now, we'll talk about this a little bit later when we start comparing the movie to reality. But the movie would have you think that he married a peasant girl and that they had prima nocta, which was the right of first
Right.
betting on
Yes.
the wedding night. The lords had the right of prima nocta, and that the sheriff slit her throat when they thought that she had basically assaulted a police officer.
Yeah.
There's never any record of William Wallace ever being married. There's never any record of prima nocta ever being an actual official thing.
No, but it makes for a good movie.
It makes for a great movie.
Drama.
We really don't know if William Wallace killed the sheriff because of something like this.
But he didn't shoot the deputy.
Exactly. Or was he a hired assassin?
Right.
Was it just part of the rebellion to where it just happened? Either way, he killed the sheriff.
Yeah.
And he was in. It was on like Donkey Kong at that point. So with Moray leading the north and Wallace stirring up chaos in the south, Scotland suddenly had itself a full-blown resistance movement. You guys all right over there?
Yeah, fine.
Somebody's
Oh.
That's Ron. Every time he takes a sip of it,
I'm trying not to look so I can read my notes. I'm hearing this.
It's good scotch.
We're just giving you a little, extra background noise.
No,
Ron and his moans.
Did you invite him?
I did.
Yeah.
He's my fault. I apologize.
Hey, I'm not the one moaning into a microphone.
This is
Valid.
true. This is true.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's be fair. If I can't sing, you can't beatbox. End of story.
I can't even beatbox as it is.
Yeah,
Don't
we
worry
know.
about it.
That's why we
Perfect.
said no.
Yeah.
Just playing.
I mean, Paul's gonna be okay with it.
Yeah, I still sing. I don't care what
Yeah,
Paul says.
Yeah.
Good.
You're not my dad. Kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I get
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't tell me what to do.
You're not my real
You're
dad.
not my real dad. We're not going to go down that road. That's sketchy. So, about my real dad. Anyway. Where was I?
Hoozle.
This got awkward. All right. Their biggest moment came at the Battle of Stirling Bridge, September 1297. September 11th, 1297 to be exact. A battle that Edward's forces walked into, assuming they'd win easily. Except they didn't. The English, led by overconfident Earl of Surrey, decided to march their massive army across a tiny wooden bridge, assuming the Scots would just stand there and wait to be slaughtered. Instead,
That was their plan.
Moray and Wallace just, let enough English troops across, about a third of their troops. Keep in mind they had about 20,000 troops trying to cross this bridge,
Okay.
and they could only go 2 by 2.
Yeah.
So
Small bridge.
they waited for about a third of them to get across, and then they launched an attack, cutting them off and absolutely wrecking them. The bridge collapsed. The English were slaughtered, and Scotland had its first major victory. Edward, for the first time, had a real problem on his hands. So I've seen maps of this, and it's literally a snake. It just moves all over. And there's one bridge to get across.
Huh.
And it's a wooden bridge that you had to go across 2 by 2, like we just said. 20,000 troops from the English against roughly 6,000 to 7,000 Scottish troops. And the English had to come over 2 by 2.
Yeah, but it could have been one Scot with a match.
Well, again, they let a third
Depending
of those
on how big it
20,000 get it,
was,
so
yeah.
about the same, about an even
right,
match.
to make it even.
And then they just crumbled the bridge.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Toss your Zippo at the bridge and call it a day.
Well, they didn't have matches or zippos.
I don't think they had Zippos back
They
then.
didn't have matches either. They had Flintstones.
Yeah.
Meet the Flintstones. Oh, yeah.
Different.
Wrong one. Right one, but wrong one.
Right.
Anyway,
A few hundred years prior.
just a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I got a burp brewing. It's gonna taste good with the scotch coming with it. Oh, anyway.
Scotty's got scotch.
Scotchy. I don't even know the song from
Scotch.
Scotty doesn't know.
Down Into My Belly.
Yeah. You just kind of roll with it. I mean, it's just one of those. Great movie.
It was good.
Anchorman. I like the first one a lot more than the second one. The second
I'll
one-
agree with that.
Second one felt like they were just looking for.
Forced.
Yeah.
Like Coming to America 2. Forced.
Yeah.
Very forced. Anyway.
Jurassic Park 2. I can say that.
2 or 3. I don't know which one.
3 was terrible.
Yeah.
2 was
When-
not bad.
When they didn't actually reboot it, but when they brought up the ones with Chris Pratt,
The
those were good.
Jurassic World.
Yeah, those were
I
good.
like those. Yeah.
Second one was okay.
Yeah. Again, they kind of follow the same trajectory a little
Yeah.
bit. The first one was awesome.
Yeah.
Both Park and World. The second ones were pretty good. A sequel was nice. And the third one's kind of felt like
Unnecessary.
yeah, except
Yeah.
A little overdone.
except the third one of the new series where they brought in all the old cast
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yeah.
To bring them all together, genius. But I digress. Sorry.
That's fair.
Jurassic
It's fair.
Park.
It's fair. Yeah. We need to do a movie review show at some point.
That'd be cool.
Although this is our second show in a row that we're comparing movie to reality.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
Catching a theme?
Oh, hey.
I wonder what's going to happen in 2 weeks.
Oh man.
Should stick around and we'll tell you.
Now I'm curious.
Flush
I'm
with
gonna
success.
Google what happened in 2 weeks from now.
Flush with success, Wallace was declared a guardian of Scotland.
Woo!
Scotland. Essentially, I can't do a Scottish accent. I can do Irish. Can't do
You
Scottish.
gotta think like Mike Myers when he played
No,
Fat Bastard
yeah.
and stuff, you know.
Well, and or so I married an axe murderer. His dad.
Yeah.
It's like an orange on a toothpick.
Have you seen it yet?
Nope.
So I married an actor.
He's like, yeah.
no, he still hasn't seen it.
I
I know.
haven't seen
I
it.
know. His reluctant, yeah. When he said, when I was like, it's like Mike Myers and so I married an axe murderer. He's like, yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking
I know
about.
exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where you'd find it nowadays. Except
I have it on DVD.
I don't have a single way of watching a DVD in my life right now.
You don't have a Xbox or a PlayStation?
They don't have discs. It's
I could-
all,
I
it's
could
all
the
hard
new
drive.
ones don't.
It's all hard drive. Yeah, I have no way of watching it. Oh, maybe I could at work.
See?
Yeah.
Bring it next time so I can watch it at work.
Well, he's the one that's got to watch it.
My computer doesn't have one of those. I
One of
mean,
that-
I can put it in my
that
pickup.
manifest.
I'll just sit in the driveway in my pickup and watch it.
It's true.
It'd be the best 2 hours you spent in your pickup.
It might be. Well, anyway, we digress. Oh, that got awkward. Where was I?
Chance, what are you doing? Nothing. Just watching.
I was watching the movie. Leave me alone. I'll be in a
Guardian
minute.
of Scotland.
The Guardian of Scotland.
You're-
Oh, that's terrible.
Your bolding on your notes
Uh-huh.
does make it real easy to figure out where you're at.
Yeah.
Like I
Oh,
like
yeah.
I like what you did this time.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Keywords are like bolded.
Yes,
Like
because I'm tired of losing my place and having to reread half of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Wallace
So-
was declared Guardian of Scotland.
he was. He cried himself to sleep tonight on his huge pillow. Anyway, but while Wallace had made a name for himself leading raids into England, Moray's story took a tragic turn. He was wounded at Stirling Bridge and died from his injuries later that year. Without his strategic mind, Wallace struggled to maintain Scotland's momentum. And in 1298, Edward personally led an invasion to deal with the Scots once and for all. At the Battle of Falkirk, July 22nd, 1298, Wallace's forces were crushed by Edward's longbowmen. Those who don't know, longbowman's just a bigger bow. But 12
Lots more power.
1298, this was an innovation in
Yeah.
war technology,
Yeah.
war tech. So the more power means they can fire from further away.
And the more
And-
the more energy they can put in those arrows.
They can get through armor. They can get through shields.
Yeah, they were almost
helmets.
unstoppable.
Yeah, and they generate more power. They could shoot bigger arrows. They could shoot smaller ones further. It was just, I mean, it was complete innovation. It was a lot like tanks in World War One.
Yeah.
It was just, or the chariots. Whenever the wasn't the Romans, who was it? Who brought Mesopotamians? Who brought chariots into it, and then the Egyptians fine-tuned it.
Right.
So it just completely changed warfare with this. So, and they used them on William Wallace and the Scots. Sorry, they didn't last too long.
Yeah.
So, Wallace's forces were crushed by Edward's longbowmen, proving that no amount of bravery could stand up to superior military tactics. Wallace went into hiding, and Scotland once again found itself leaderless. But this fight wasn't over yet because, well, Wallace's rebellion had been beaten down. Another man was about to step up and take the war to England. A man with royal blood, a ruthless streak, and much stronger claim to the throne. His name? Robert the Bruce. With Wallace out of the picture, either in hiding or, depending on the year, very much dead.
Robert the Bruce
Yes.
and his coat of arms. He's a scary looking AI guy there.
I feel like I watched that movie recently.
What's that? Braveheart?
No,
Or-
Robert the Bruce.
Yeah.
Uh,
That came out a few years after Braveheart did.
yeah, I want to say probably mid 2000s is when Robert the Bruce. It's one of the newer ones because it's got some pretty good.
There's been a couple of
Yeah.
movies about him because people are figuring out that he was the more important person in
Yeah.
the Scottish War for Independence. But
There was a Robert the Bruce in 2019.
Maybe that's one of the ones I watched recently. I don't know, but
I know there was one in like it wasn't called Robert the Bruce. I can't remember what it was called, but it was about Robert the Bruce.
yeah,
It was in like Braveheart came out in 94, 95. I want to say this one came out in like 2001, 2002.
and that may have been the one I'm thinking
Yeah.
about because
Braveheart was 95.
with history and the way it's doing, he ends up at doing whatever he does, gets lost the cave thing,
Sure,
or whatever,
sure.
and ends up homesteading with a woman and a child for a while before going back and having a battle in a church and shit like that.
Yeah, we'll get to that one.
Yeah,
That's a fun one.
yeah,
But yeah, it's crazy how much people just believe that Braveheart was fact.
yeah. No,
That's how it happened. Nah, not really. We'll get to that though.
Far more fiction.
Far more Hollywood than anything. So.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, and who's better than the man with royal blood and a ruthless streak and burning desire to wear the Scottish crown? Well, enter Robert the Bruce. Descendant of Scottish kings, occasional supporter of the English, kind of when it suited him, and soon to be Scotland's most legendary ruler. So, in Braveheart, the battle, which was supposed to be the Battle of Stirling Bridge.
Yeah.
In the movie, there's no bridge. And they actually take Falkirk, the battle that happened there, and in the movie, they put it the Battle of Stirling. So the events that happened in Falkirk, actually, they put in Stirling, and then they use the Braveheart pulling the guy off the horse, taking the helmet off, and it's Robert the Bruce.
yeah.
That was to symbolize how he flip-flopped. That didn't actually happen.
Oh,
Gotcha.
That was symbolism.
I've never really looked at it that way.
Yeah. That was to show that, well, he supported him sometimes. And then he came off and he's like, it's me, it's Robert. Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Don't forget about me, Bob.
Don't do it.
Yeah, and so he doesn't kill him and he, throws up in his armor or whatever because he's sick and not like physically sick, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But so it's just symbolism of how much he flip-flopped back and forth. So So there's that. Anyway, let's see. But Bruce's road to kingship wasn't paved with glorious battles and patriotic speeches. It was soaked in blood, betrayal, and years of brutal guerrilla warfare. One of Bruce's biggest obstacles wasn't just Edward I. It was another Scottish noble, John Comyn, also known as Red Comyn. Think of the spice, Comyn. That's how you pronounce his name. Because of his fiery hair.
It's not how I pronounce it, though.
That's
I need a quarter teaspoon of cumin.
I made sure I looked that one up. So
Yeah.
Do I pronounce it like I don't want to? Or it's Comyn. Got it.
Yeah.
Cumin.
Got it. Yep.
Cumin.
Let's be honest. He had a fiery temper as well. So
Nice.
that's why they called him a Red Comyn. Although if it's Red Comyn, you better go see a doctor. So Comyn wasn't just some random noble and an inflated ego. He had a strong claim to the Scottish throne, being the nephew of, wait for it, John Balliol.
Hey, I remember that name.
Remember him from earlier?
I do.
Yeah, this is his nephew. He's got a claim to it. Anyway, excuse me. He also happened to be fiercely loyal to Edward I, which made him a serious problem for Bruce, who was trying to rally Scotland against English rule. For years, Bruce and Comyn were locked in a tense power struggle, both knowing that only one of them could emerge as the true leader of Scotland. On February 10th, 1306, Bruce decided that negotiations were pointless. Comyn had to go. Two men met at Greyfriars Kirk in Dumfries, supposedly to talk things through like civilized nobles. Instead, tempers flared, words turned into threats, and Bruce, in a moment of pure impulsive rage, stabbed Comyn in front of the altar.
Oh.
Oops.
Yeah.
Dang.
Realizing that he had just committed murder in a church, which even by medieval standards was a massive whoops, Bruce fled the scene. His men finished the job for him, ensuring Comyn wouldn't be a problem anymore. Killing a political rival was one thing, but spilling blood in a sacred place, that got Bruce excommunicated by the Pope.
Of course it would.
Not just
Why
the
wouldn't
English, but the Pope. Keep in mind that you're right over there?
Yeah, I'm just
All right.
making sure I got the best lighting for our viewers.
Hour into it, might as well check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
So keep in mind that the Catholic Church and Church of England didn't happen and split until Henry VIII.
Gotcha.
So the English are still a big part of the Catholic Church at this point.
Right.
So when he killed a noble in a church, of course, they're going to get word of that back at the Vatican. So now he's excommunicated by the Pope. So not exactly the best way to start a rebellion, but hey, no turning back now. With Comyn dead, Bruce wasted no time. A month later, in March 1306, he was crowned King of Scotland at Scone. Apparently they got it back.
Yeah.
They didn't get the stone back, but they're crowning kings there again. It was a bold move, but unfortunately, Edward I was not the kind of guy to let things slide. And within months, Bruce's army was crushed at the Battle of Methven. That's a tough one to say, Methven.
Yeah.
June 9, 1306, to be exact. Things quickly went from bad to worse. His brothers were executed. His wife and sisters were captured. Edward had them locked in cages and hung from castle walls for years. They were literally thrown into cages.
Dang.
Yeah. Brutal. And Bruce
How do you watch your TikToks? That'd be terrible.
Yeah. TikToks. That's what we're worried
For
about.
Not me, but
for those of us who don't have TikTok,
yeah.
it's a minor inconvenience. But if you have TikTok, being thrown in a cage is horrible.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
What is this where I'm supposed to moan into the microphone? I took a drink.
So good. I mean, not that.
That,
Not
that
that
sounded like
forward.
you just let
It's
out
my
a
first
really
time.
good
I know how
fart.
to do it.
Yeah. I'm new.
I'm the new guy.
I'm new at this enjoying liquor thing.
At least scotch.
Yeah.
I'm not a big scotch drinker. It's good.
This is a good one.
It's good.
Yeah.
I just don't drink scotch.
Yeah.
Down into my belly. Yum,
Scotch,
yum,
scotchy,
yum.
scotch. Anyway, where were we?
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I'm Ron Burgundy. Bruce himself became an outlaw, forced to flee into the wilderness like some medieval Robin Hood. Also could
That's
be fake.
Chance's favorite movie.
Yeah. The one
Hey,
with the fox.
I got some things. Yes, yes. Well, Men in Tights.
Fair enough.
Okay.
That was awkward.
Blinken's my favorite character in that movie.
It's been so long since I've seen it.
Yeah.
The blind guy.
Okay.
I kind of wondered if that was him. I knew there was a blind guy in that one. Oh, Lordy. When was the last time I saw that movie? I don't know. I don't know why I'm thinking out loud at the moment.
That's okay.
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today.
Today. I know, that's
Total
Princess
wrong
Bride.
movie. Yeah, great movie.
Great sound drop, right?
I mean, again, I know my wife would disagree, but great movie.
Oh, it's
The
fantastic.
Princess Bride.
Yeah.
she hates it.
is.
She thinks it's stupid.
Oh no, I love it.
Well, she
She
can be
thinks
wrong.
it's stupid.
She can be wrong.
I've told her many times. You're wrong.
How many
It's like
times did
one
you
of
sleep
those-
on the
yeah.
couch, though?
It's one of those
No.
movies that if you just happen to see it come across, you're like, okay, I'm gonna watch it.
You're
Yeah.
gonna watch at least a half hour. of it.
Like if you're in like
Yeah.
a hotel room for like when I'm traveling for work and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's on the scrolling old school
Yeah.
cable.
Yeah,
You go, yep.
Yep,
I'll watch
done.
it.
Done.
It's got 37 minutes left. Yep, still gonna watch it.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, yeah.
It's
So
Princess Bride.
anyway.
Who couldn't?
found himself a medieval Robin Hood. What Robin Hood medieval? I don't know why. I
Yes.
don't know why I put medieval Robin Hood.
But yes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
except with fewer merry men and a lot more English soldiers hunting him down. Why are you? What'd you do?
What's he moaning?
I don't know.
Did nothing.
All right, fair enough.
Reading comments.
Anyway,
Hold on.
this-
Paul said it's a stupid,
Oh.
stupid movie. You. Oh,
Well, look who's plummeting on the favorite fan scale.
we just lost a listener.
Did we?
No, it's Paul.
Yeah,
Yeah. Princess Bride's a great movie.
it's such a good movie.
It's okay.
It's all right. That whole family could be wrong. It's fine.
It's just that whole side. It's all good.
I am
Just
really not trying to get
sucks
you in a
to
fight with your
suck.
family.
No,
it
it's
sucks to suck.
yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, you guys
Yeah.
are wrong.
Princess Bride rules.
Don't care. You're wrong.
Wesley's awesome.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
Yeah, the rodents of unusual size.
Great.
Anyway,
Looking for the six-fingered man.
yeah, this was Bruce's lowest point. By the hey, Six Finger Man. That's damn it, I just lost who that what the actor was. He's in a few different things.
Don't ask me. You're the dude with the name.
I know he was in the first Fast and the Furious. He was a detective that Brian was talking to.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's the same guy. He has a more popular character that everybody knows. They don't realize it's him anyway. Where was I? This was Bruce's lowest point in the part of history where most people would have given up, but not Bruce. He vanished into hiding, spending the
Mandy
winter.
Patinkin.
Yes.
Okay.
He just recently passed away.
He did.
Anyway, spending the winter after that. No, Mandy Patinkin is Inigo Montoya.
Maybe. I was Googling fast.
I was Googling fast.
You ever be a fast Googler?
Yeah, I'll get there. You guys talk about Robin Hood or whatever.
Six-fingered man.
He's not a
Robin,
six-fingered man.
Six-fingered man.
No.
I'm looking up the fast.
You know what's
Christopher Guest.
what's interesting about that entire movie is the fact that
Count Rugen.
the
Count
whoever
Rugen?
the big guy is,
Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant,
Yeah.
like having to go across the street every single day for lunch and consume like minimum 16 to 18 beers
Oh,
because
yeah.
of his back, and then just would go back and film. Never spoke a lick of English the entire time, just memorized his lines in English and took cues from somebody. So
Christopher
he could speak.
Guest was Count Rugen. Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Andre the Giant. I mean, and I heard he was like, could eat his, like, your body weight in food a
Yeah.
day because he was just such a mountain of a man.
Wasn't that like the record for most beer consumed in one sitting or something like
Yeah, and Duke could still,
128?
and he could still walk like a straight
Yeah,
line.
just-
Like it just beer. No big deal.
How do you?
I don't know.
Ted Levine is the actor. Anyway, he was Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs.
Okay.
That's where most people know him more from. Anyway.
Hmm.
Shall we?
Okay.
By the way, Andre the Giant couldn't use a regular toilet. So he had to use the bathtub.
Man, you got some weird.
To go
Weird stuff.
Number 2,
To use too, yeah. And then he would just turn on the shower and close the curtain.
waffle stomping.
Anyway, he vanished into hiding. Robert the Bruce, that is, not Andre the Giant. In the winter of 1306 and 07 in the remote west of Scotland, possibly on the island of Rothland or Aran. Not Iran, Aran. According to legend, this is where he had his famous encounter with the determined little spider. While taking shelter in a cave, Bruce supposedly watched a spider attempt to spin a web. failing over and over again, but never giving up. Inspired by the tiny arachnid's persistence, Bruce decided he wouldn't give up either. Whether or not this story is true, one thing is certain. When Bruce reemerged in 1307, he was a changed man, ready to fight back using a new strategy, guerrilla warfare. Instead of facing Edward's forces in open battle, which had gone so well for him before, Bruce and his supporters waged a hit-and-run campaign, striking English-held strongholds and then disappearing into the hills before retaliation could come. His first real success came at the Battle of Glentrool in April 1307, where Bruce used the rugged terrain to ambush an English force, inflicting heavy casualties while suffering minimal losses himself. Hit-and-run tactic. Think if you've seen The Patriot with Mel Gibson, which
Aim small, miss small.
I didn't realize it until I started doing research on Braveheart and reality, that The Patriot's really just Braveheart, but in colonial America.
Yeah.
His wife gets
Pretty
killed.
much, yeah. It's pretty on point.
Yeah,
I love The Patriot.
he
though.
doesn't want to fight the British, but he gets the French involved.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, but it's weird how alike those two were. And they're only like 4 years apart either. Anyway, so a few weeks later in May 1307, he won another victory at the Battle of Loudon Hill on May 10th, 1307, where he used strategic positioning to outmaneuver a larger English army. These small but decisive victories proved that Bruce wasn't just some desperate noble on the run. He was a brilliant tactician who knew how to use Scotland's geography to his advantage. As Bruce's campaign gathered momentum, the English faced a problem of their own. Edward I was dying. The legendary Hammer of the Scots had spent decades crushing rebellions, but time was finally catching up with him. And in July 1307, as he led yet another invasion into Scotland, Edward I took his last breath.
I have a belated comment on here. Ty was trying to help us figure out who we were talking about.
Yeah?
Paul Walker. No, not him.
Not Paul Walker.
Not Paul Walker.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, it's the
It was the detective that he was
right
reporting to.
Right. But good guess.
I appreciate the help.
Yeah, he's trying.
He's trying.
Trouble with Scotland is that it's full of Scots.
Edward the Longshanks.
Yeah.
It's full of Scots. If my son wants his wife to rule in his stead, then stay. Same speech, by the way. So, but let's see. So Edward I took his last breath. But don't start celebrating just yet. His death didn't mean the war was over, because his son, Edward II, was about to take the throne. And while he wasn't quite the terrifying warlord his father had been, he wasn't about to just let Scotland slip away. Bruce's fight for Scotland was far from finished, and his greatest challenge was yet to come. Stay tuned, because next we'll see just how hard Scotland had fought to survive. So by 1307, Edward I, Scotland's worst nightmare, was finally nearing the end of his brutal reign. The man had spent his entire career battering the Scots into submission, but even the so-called Hammer of the Scots couldn't hammer his way out of old age. 1307, while camped near Berg by Sons in northern England, Edward I finally gave up the ghost, dying at the age of 68.
That's old.
That's old for the 1300s.
Yeah.
Like the average age at the time was like 30.
I mean, I think it's only 6 or 7 years off of the average age of an adult male right now before death. I mean, what is it? 70,
72, 73, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
For Americans anyway.
Right.
You get into like Denmark and Norway, it's like 82.
Yeah.
That's because they know how to live right.
They're happier up there.
Yeah.
So they don't have gluttonous sized portions either. Anyway.
Yeah, that dude had been like a great grandpa.
Something like that.
74.8 is the U.S. male life expectancy.
Yeah, and it was
74.8.
probably 70s.
Women,
Little,
80.2.
I was saying a little older.
They
Yeah.
always live longer because
Yeah.
we have more fun.
Well, I could have been really misogynistic. I'm not going to.
It might be that they
Nope.
may very
Nope.
well be a little smarter than we are.
Yep. I didn't know.
All the dumb ideas we ever come up with. Hey, should I try this? Yep.
Hold my beer.
Yep.
Hold my. Apparently, he didn't do that as much, which is funny
he made
because he was the warrior king. He was the Hammer of Scotland, and he lived
Right.
to 68.
That's saying
It's a
something.
long time for a guy that.
I mean, just what we've been talking about right here, we're looking at 15 years of war.
Right.
So he was already 20
And he was
years.
involved in all of it. It's not like he stood back.
yes. He was 15 years, 20 years past the average life expectancy as it was.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to tack on another 15, 18 years of war.
Mhm.
Crazy. So his last words, allegedly, he told his son Edward II to keep his bones with the army until Scotland was conquered. Because even in death, the guy couldn't let it go. Fortunately for Scotland, his son was not the war machine his father had been. With Edward I dead, Edward II took the throne, and let's just say he didn't quite live up to the family reputation. While his father had been a ruthless, battle-hardened warrior, Edward II was more interested in country life, personal favorites, and generally not waging an endless war in Scotland. It's to the Scots' advantage, anyway. This was fantastic news for Robert the Bruce. Instead of facing a relentless military strategist, he was now up against a king who would rather deal with palace drama than the battlefield. Bruce wasted no time capitalizing on this shift, launching a relentless campaign to drive the English out of Scotland once and for all. Between 1307 and 1314, Bruce systematically dismantled English control over Scotland. He didn't just win battles, he waged economic and psychological warfare. He used scorched earth tactics, burning his own land to deprive the English of resources. He attacked isolated garrisons, picked off English forces one by one, and slowly chipped away at English rule. He reclaimed castles not by direct assault, but by starving out the occupants, forcing them to surrender. The guy was playing medieval 4D chess, and Edward II, he was still trying to figure out the rules.
Yeah.
By 1314, Bruce was had almost regained full control of Scotland, except for one major battle, Stirling Castle. This fortress was the last significant English stronghold in the country, and Bruce's brother, Edward Bruce, yeah, another Edward to keep track of here, by the way, he had it under siege. The English couldn't afford to lose Stirling, so Edward II, finally waking up from the fact that his father's empire was falling apart, gathered a massive army and marched north to deal with the Scots once and for all. I feel like we said that a lot. Once and for all.
It's a recurring thing that keeps popping up.
So on June 23rd, June 24th of 1314, stage is set for one of the most famous battles in Scottish history, the Battle of Bannockburn. What happened next would define the future of Scotland, because while Bruce had spent years fighting like a guerrilla warlord, he was about to prove that he could stand toe-to-toe with the English in a full-scale battle. The fate of Scotland was on the line, and if Bruce lost, everything he had built would come crashing down. So by the summer of 1314, the stage is set for one of the most legendary battles in Scottish history. Stirling Castle, the last major English stronghold in Scotland, was under siege by Robert the Bruce's forces, controlled by his brother Edward.
You want to see what Stirling Castle looks like?
Looks like
I
now.
do. I kind of wondered that a second ago.
Well, I can show you.
What? It's like you've got an internet.
Stirling Castle. It is up on a hill. It's kind of like Edinburgh Castle.
I was gonna say, as most castles are, you want to be at the high point.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you can see your enemies coming.
Well, and it gives you that upper advantage. You can see them coming, but you also literally have the high ground.
Yes.
While they're stumbling, trying to get up the hill through the trees and through the terrain, you can shoot down on them sure-footed.
Well,
Again,
I mean,
you're gonna win.
Look at all those nice paved roads and stuff right there. I mean,
That's
why
now.
wouldn't you just access it that way?
That's now.
Ah.
Let's see.
Let's see, what's it look like now? Was that a modern shot?
That was 1900. Here's now.
It's rubble.
No, it's still there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Looks like rubble in that picture.
No, it's all right here.
Oh, found it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a city to the, I would assume north, but that's right there. Yeah, it's all still standing.
It's crazy. Like, I guess I personally don't think, and I've never been there, so I can't speak from experience. But I just don't think that. You think castle, you don't think it's going to be that wooded around it,
Okay.
because I don't know England. You know, I think London.
Right.
So
No, and England isn't London,
right.
but a lot of castles there are in ruins unless they had some kind of historical.
Stirling Castle.
Right. Stirling Castle. There's a handful of them that are super cool that have been kept up and they've been restored and they've been looked after and all that kind of stuff. But
Right.
the majority of them, there's a ton in England and Scotland that are either in absolute ruin or are just a landmark
Sure.
on the kind of oh, that's where such and such castle was. But
Was past tense.
the right.
They've
And you
abandoned
can
so many
see-
of them. Yeah.
You can see the earthworks and you can see the stuff, and there's always going to be these plaques around that kind of go, oh,
Sure.
this is where the market was, this is where that was, this is where this kind of was held, or we think this is what that was used for. But those earthworks,
Have you been over there?
I lived in England.
He was
for like
stationed
5
there
years.
Well, I
Yeah.
meant like in the Scotland area and stuff.
I've been to
like-
Scotland a few
Yeah.
times, yeah. But the English castles are really what I saw a lot of. If it wasn't a national historical monument, though, they're more in the ruins. There's stacks of rocks. There's
Sure.
stuff that just have kind of time has taken them back.
Well, Industrial Revolution hit in the 1800s.
Yeah.
And it took more people into the cities, which the cities grew. Castles became less
right.
important
they
because you
weren't
didn't need that
needed.
fortified location anymore.
Right.
So
Right. But the Edinburgh Castle is still
sure.
huge. You know,
And Edinburgh Castle is the one that most people picture when they think of an English castle,
right.
like in
It's-
modern
It's
times.
there.
Yeah.
And it's an imposing factor. It's still their defensive.
And I guess I didn't realize just how intact Stirling Castle still is.
Yeah.
So
There's another picture here I want to.
of Stirling or Edinburgh?
of Stirling that kind of paints the picture here. Give me just a second.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Chance is taking a break, so we got
It's
some time
shockingly
here.
hard to.
Shockingly hard.
Let's see there, Stirling Castle. So this one that's highlighted is kind of what it looks like now. So it's
Okay.
got,
Yeah.
you know,
It's still the
it's a very
towers and the,
modern. We can just scroll through Google for a minute.
thanks, Google.
But yeah, like that's really cool how it looks now. Oh, that's not. Oh Jesus. There, that's Stirling Castle.
Nothing
and it's-
happened.
Oh, can you not see that picture?
The one on the right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. But that's Stirling Castle, and it's still there. It's still a thing, which is pretty neat.
It's just crazy. I mean, it's like Eddie Izzard talks about. He comes from England or he comes from Europe. You know where the history comes from.
Yeah.
It's like we just don't have that here. We never had castles here because America was founded, way after castles were a thing.
Right.
So
But like Edinburgh Castle is up on a hill. It's
right.
I don't want that.
Regardless.
Yeah. It's just they picked the hills, they picked the high ground, they picked the stuff that was naturally fortified, or they built moats, or they built the things that would give them that kind of natural defensiveness. It just makes it hard. If I was going to attack you, I would want to put as many natural things in the way as
Well, yeah. I mean, but that's kind of
trees,
that's the point is the
moats,
fortification of it. Yeah.
the keeps, all the walls, all the other stuff to just kind of go, let's make this harder than it should
Yeah.
be. Let's
And-
not pave a road for them.
It's to protect the hierarchy, the nobles, the kings, the
Right.
queens, all of the royalty. It's to keep the treasures treasured.
Right. It's to
So-
keep the government, so to speak,
Correct.
functioning, so that whenever skirmish is about to happen, at least we can
At least we know we're
get
safe
back.
there.
Right.
So
Exactly.
whenever there's an attack coming, a good king or lord or whatever would pull everybody into the walls
Right.
from the city outside.
Right.
So
Yep.
it's again, like I said, we're here in America. It's just crazy to see castles like, yeah, that's not us.
Right. Exactly.
We came from way after the castles were a thing.
Well, I mean, when I was stationed there were cemeteries that I would find myself just kind of visiting to kind of look.
Yeah.
And the headstones would be eroded smooth by rainwater.
Yeah.
It's not like, because they were just stones that were out and then like you could see kind of like the etchings and stuff.
The
But-
outline of it a little
Yeah,
bit.
but when you walk into a pub and in the concrete above the door, it had like
Yeah.
1612, and you go, that's the year it was made, not the
Yeah.
address for this place. What?
Well, it's like, I've been to Boston a few times, and you
Yeah.
go to you go to the cemeteries, and a lot of them are from the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, whatever.
Right.
And the ones that are 1700s, they're pretty beat up. They're
Yeah.
pretty smooth, like you said.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's add a few hundred more years onto that,
Right.
and
that's what
less
you're dealing with.
care taken of it. So,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to relate to that. due to the fact that I went to Salem when I was in Boston last
See,
year.
that's where I didn't get to go, and I want
You
to.
are not kidding. I mean, the town itself is just
Yeah,
it's a regular town, but
didn't have time.
Okay.
God Almighty, the little cemetery they have there that you get to like walk through that really has the headstones and people. And
Yeah,
things. I mean,
1600s.
you walk into it and basically look at something and goes, here's an either born date with no end date, and you kind of go, so
Are they still here?
Do we not know? Do we? What
Yeah.
Where's old Bill at?
yeah, and then
What's happening?
literally you get to see the graves that have the iron cages and stuff around them, and then like the locks
Sure.
and everything. It's just it makes you go, oh,
It's crazy. Goosebumps,
Yeah.
all the chills. Yeah.
I feel safe but unsafe all at the same time, and I want to know, but I don't want to know because I don't want these evil spirits and things happening coming to me. Like
Yeah.
I don't really know what to do.
That's
But
crazy.
yeah, it's insane. It's the craziest feeling.
Sure. Like I said, I've been seeing cemeteries in Boston, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, where were we? Anyway, all right. The castle's commander had agreed to surrender if the English didn't relieve it by Midsummer's Day. So naturally, Edward II decided this was a chance to prove he wasn't a complete disaster like everyone thought. He gathered an enormous army, estimated at around 15 to 20,000 men, including heavy cavalry, longbowmen, and well-armed foot soldiers. Foot soldiers. Bruce, by contrast, had maybe 6,000 to 8,000, mostly battle-hardened spearmen. The English outnumbered the Scots at least 2-1, and on paper should have been an easy win for England. But if history has taught us anything, it's that underestimating Robert the Bruce was a very bad idea. On June 23rd, as the English approached Bannockburn, a marshy, uneven landscape near Stirling, Edward's knights eager to make a statement, charged straight at Bruce's forces. This went about as well as you'd expect. In one famous moment, Bruce himself was nearly attacked by an English knight, Sir Henry de Bohun, but Bruce, armed with nothing but an axe, dodged Bowen's lance at the last second and caved in his skull.
Oof.
With a single swing, by the way. It was the medieval equivalent of a mic drop, and it sent the Scottish troops into a frenzy of confidence. Meanwhile, the English struggled to navigate the rough terrain, getting bogged down in the marshy ground, while Bruce's tightly packed, this one is I have a hard time pronouncing, skiltrons, they're hedgehog-like formations of spearmen. So basically they would just make a turtle shell,
Yeah.
and then they would just put their spears in every direction, so that no matter which way they came at them, they would hit a spear.
Like a porcupine.
And then they would move as one entity.
Like
That's awesome.
the baby Bowser or whatever that pops up in Mario that has
Yeah.
all the spikes and everything.
could
come
think
out
that.
of him. Yeah.
Think like Roman cavalry formations with their shields.
Yeah.
And then in each hole between the two shields, just put a spear coming out. Pretty much like
I mean, it's going to be effective until like
yeah,
bullets
exactly.
are a thing.
Right. I mean, even the longbowmen couldn't get through this.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
packed and tight they were. So on June 24th, Edward II made his biggest mistake. He committed his entire army to an all-out assault. But instead of a glorious charge crushing the Scots, the English found themselves trapped. The marshy ground restricted their movements. Their cavalry had nowhere to maneuver, and Bruce's men pressed the attack relentlessly. As the English forces crumbled, they panicked and fled, with many drowning in the Bannockburn River while trying to escape. Edward himself barely made it out alive, reportedly fleeing all the way back to Dunbar Castle, which was roughly 65 miles from where they were at.
It's a long way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And before catching a ship to England, by the way. Hardly the triumphant moment he had hoped for. Bannockburn wasn't just a battle, it was a complete humiliation of England and a resounding victory for Scotland.
Right.
Bruce had proven that his forces weren't just capable of winning battles, they were capable of securing Scotland's independence. By 1314, Robert the Bruce had done the impossible. He had transformed Scotland from a divided, beaten-down nation into a force strong enough to take on the English in open battle. And at Bannockburn, he did just that. In a stunning victory, Bruce's forces crushed Edward II's much larger army, securing Scotland's independence, well, mostly. While the English had been humiliated, they were still clinging to the hope that they could reclaim Scotland. Bruce, however, had no intention of letting that happen. Over the next decade, he doubled down, ensuring that Scotland would never again fall under English rule. From 1315 to 1320, Bruce's strategy shifted from defense to offense. With Scotland largely secured, he took the fight into England itself. Keep in mind, this isn't exactly forces going into Russia in the middle of winter.
Right.
No,
This is-
but we're like 18 years into this now, right?
Right.
Oh.
2025, roughly. How many years we were in at this point? Because it started in the late 1290s.
Well, I mean, Bruce himself.
Bruce
as of right
himself,
now,
yeah. He's about 15 years into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Just the toll that has to take on a person.
right. So, launching devastating raids into northern England, burning villages, generally making life miserable for Edward II. He even sent his brother Edward Bruce, again, there's that other Edward, over to Ireland
Edward.
right, in an ambitious attempt to drive the English out of there too. But spoiler alert, that did not go well. Edward the Bruce got himself killed in 1318, and the Irish campaign fell apart. But while that plan fizzled, Bruce's campaign in Scotland was still going strong. By 1320, the Scots made it clear they were done asking for independence. They were demanding it.
Mm-hmm.
Enter the Declaration of Arbroath, a beautifully passive, aggressive letter sent to Pope John the 22nd.
That's a tough. I don't like Roman numerals. Like I can see XXII, I know that's 22, but I don't like Roman numerals.
You don't read them that well.
No, I don't. I can never remember if IV
I'm with you,
IV
buddy.
or
I
VI.
just-
I'm like, I don't 4, 6.
It's when we get into L's, M's, and C's that I lose it.
Okay.
X's and V's and I's I can do.
Oh, fair.
But, I mean,
Well, you're better than I am.
Yeah.
X's, V's, and I's are German. L's, C's, and M's are Russian. Or English, I guess. That's
Yeah.
more my kryptonite.
Fair.
Anyway, dated April 6, 1320, it wasn't just a plea for Scottish independence. It was a bold, defiant statement, famously declaring that Scotland would never submit to English rule and that they would rather die fighting than live under oppression. The best part, ready for this? Through shaded England, basically saying, look, we tried having a king who listened to Edward and it sucked. So now we have Bruce and we like him a lot better. Deal with it. The Pope, perhaps tired of the never-ending drama between England and Scotland, eventually pressured Edward II to negotiate peace. Keep in mind, like we talked about earlier, they're still a big part of the Catholic Church. So
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the influence alone this is the way it is.
it's substantial. Yeah.
You got a knife hand coming at you and you're not getting out of the way. You're
You
going
got
to
a
be
few
cut.
knife hands coming at you.
Listen, you're going to get cut down, and this is
The Pope says goes. So, but Edward II, being Edward II, still refused to officially recognize Scottish independence. Bruce had no choice but to keep up the pressure and launching even more raids into England throughout the 1320s. However, Bruce didn't need to wait much longer because Edward II was about to become his own worst enemy. In 1327, the much maligned English king was deposed by his own wife, Isabella of France. Keep in mind, in Braveheart, that's who Braveheart has the affair with, kind of implying that William Wallace is the father of Edward III. But if you look at history, Queen Isabella was 10 when William Wallace
that
was
time?
executed.
Yeah.
So,
not really possible.
No,
Yeah.
not so much.
so keep that in mind. So no, William Wallace, despite what Hollywood wants you to think, is not the father of Edward III. So anyway, Isabella of France and her not so secret lover Roger Mortimer. Sorry, Roger.
You stumble on Roger.
Who names their kid Roger?
Nobody.
Right, it's Roger.
Yeah.
What a Roger Mortimer.
Roger
We
Mortimer.
went from all of these like medieval time names.
Robert
to
the Bruce.
Roger Mortimer.
Edwards is-
Well, we had Andrew Moray earlier.
You know what Roger does for a living? He
He
sells
sells
ra-
insurance.
he was a manager at Radio Shack before they closed down.
Well, that manager of Radio Shack is boning Queen Isabella. So
Yeah.
Radio Shack had its privileges, apparently.
Yeah. He's now supervisor at Best Buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, medieval politics were like a never-ending soap opera. Edward II was thrown into prison. Legend has it he was later executed in one of the most brutal ways imaginable. Let's just say it involved a red-hot poker and some very unfortunate anatomy. I
Nope.
wouldn't want to be the one that has to hold it when somebody else puts the red hot poker in.
Yeah, no.
Your hands would get all. Ugh. With Edward II gone, his young son
His
Edward
hands
the-
would get so clammy.
Here they go. Ugh. Edward III took the throne. Unlike his father, Edward III was actually competent, but he was also just a teenager and had bigger problems to deal with in Scotland. And you know what?
So be it.
The King of Scotland got married at 9 and was running the country by 14.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This guy's a teenager and he's
Well, even
English
his,
are
his, his,
weak.
his predecessor before him, was
weaker.
and younger whenever
Yeah.
he took it as well.
Yeah. So in 1328, England and Scotland finally signed the Treaty of Edinburgh-Northampton, treaty that officially recognized Scotland as an independent kingdom and Robert the Bruce as its rightful king. It was a historic victory in the moment Scotland had been fighting for since the days of Wallace and Moray. Bruce, after decades of battle, had finally secured Scotland's freedom. Sadly, Bruce didn't have long to enjoy the triumph. By 1329, he was in failing health, likely suffering from leprosy. Ugh.
Not a way I want to
Not
go.
a way, yeah. And for those who want a visual representation, if you've seen the movie Braveheart, his father, who was stowed away in that tower, was dying of leprosy. He was all bandaged up and now the festering wounds. That's what leprosy does.
Yeah, no.
That's about the most historically accurate part of that movie. That's how bad leprosy was.
Fair.
So, but even in his final days, he had one last mission. He wanted his heart to be taken to the Holy Land and placed in the Church of Holy Sepulchre. I know I'm butchering that one. In Jerusalem.
Sepulcher.
Sepul-
Is that the
Sepulchre.
It's
I'm saying it in Italian, apparently.
no. I brought this up before in Today in History, and you told me you had like the right pronunciation
At
that
the time, sure.
It was like a year ago, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sepulchre sounds pretty.
Yeah.
Sepulchre sounds better.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right,
I'm sure I
let's
was
go
right
with
back
that.
then because I looked it up.
Let's go,
I didn't
let's-
look it up for
yeah,
this one.
Let's go with that.
Excuse me. Anyway, he wanted it buried at the Church of the Holy, whatever he said, in Jerusalem. And when he died in June 1329, his heart was removed as requested, placed in a silver casket, and carried into battle by Sir James Douglas during a campaign in Spain.
Okay.
Because apparently, even in death, Bruce's heart. Got it? You get over there?
He's turning all the heaters off because it's an actual oven in here.
Oh my god! Like
And you're the one that
I
suffers.
know.
Yeah.
I'm always the cold one, and
There
I'm
you
literally
are.
sitting here right now going,
You're as cold as ice.
I've got
Sorry.
moisture
You did have
coming
two
off of
heaters
my
on
forehead.
high,
Right now.
blowing on you. I turned the one on me off a long time ago.
This one's just barely spitting out any heat, so I'm good.
There's so little.
I'm also the
background
only one
noise
wearing
now.
shorts, so
Yeah.
there's that. Anyway, so
Sir James Douglas.
yes, that is, during a campaign in Spain, because apparently even in death, Bruce's heart still had him some fight left in it. Unfortunately, Douglas was killed, but Bruce's heart was recovered and brought back to Scotland, where it was buried at Melrose Abbey. So it didn't make it to Jerusalem like he wanted, but it was buried in a proper place for a king. So
Yeah.
Hey, so what's the Melrose Abbey thing? I feel like there's some super significance behind that.
there's Melrose Place and Downton Abbey, but I don't know about Melrose Abbey. Ron liked those too.
I did. I did.
I don't know. Somebody wants to look that up. We'll talk about it here in a minute.
Okay.
While we wrap this thing up, put a pretty little bow on it.
Okay.
And so the First Scottish War of Independence came to an end, not just with treaties and politics, but with the enduring legacy of a king who refused to bow. History, as we know, doesn't stop, and Scotland had won its independence, but would it be able to hold on to it? That, my dear friends, is a story for another time.
Melrose Abbey is still considered one of the most significant examples of medieval church architecture anywhere in the British Isles. It's just a cool building.
It's the most beautiful church in the world.
Would you like to see what Melrose Abbey looks like?
I kind of would.
Would you like to know more?
Would you like Starship Troopers?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Enhance.
It
Sorry.
doesn't really
Enhance.
work that way.
Enhance.
doesn't.
There's Melrose Abbey.
I get it. Imagine that back in the 1300s
When it was like
when it was noon
well
shiny.
kept. Yeah.
When they used it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's heart is not still buried there.
But like I said, when
Probably not.
a lot of churches and things like that kind of have this feel to it where you
Sure.
can go, oh, the bones are there. Like I see how that could be really pretty.
I didn't know they had chain link back then.
Shut up. But yeah, that's kind of how a lot of those places look, is this not ruins, but definitely not usable kind of vibe. So it just, yeah, pretty, but that's all it is anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's bucket list.
What, England?
Well, I want to do the
oh, it is
whole,
for me
like,
too. Seriously.
like I want to the England, Scotland.
You
I
wanna do
wanna
the British Isles.
Yeah, I want to go and see and just. I want to take a month. I don't want to have.
That's
to be pushed.
ambitious. But
I want a month, and I want to go and do and see and be.
See, I've been telling my wife I want to take her to England because I want to show her all the things that I am like super passionate about that
Yeah.
I got to see there that was really cool. We need passports before we can do that because mine's definitely expired and I think hers
Yeah,
is too.
mine definitely is too.
Yeah. But I could see us trying to figure out a show in England someday. That'd be pretty cool. No, tell me how cool that would be.
If you're
even
paying for it, I'm in.
if we don't know what the future holds.
Hey, let's get a GoFundMe going. And,
Right?
Or wait for it. Just have enough subscribers where we start getting
Yeah.
paid to do this.
And then we can just go do on location.
Yeah, I'm in.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
okay,
list.
so listeners, right now, go do whatever it is you got to do to get us that.
Yeah, go to YouTube and just hit the subscribe
That way.
button. Yeah.
That way, you can get a visual representation of what we're doing or talking about this.
You'll always get the alerts as to when a new show's coming on because we don't follow a strict schedule.
We
We're,
try.
we're fairly consistent, but I mean we again we pay to do this. We don't do this for a living.
Yeah.
So we're at the mercy of our families and
Right.
what's going on. So yeah.
Yep.
So hit the subscribe button. Yeah, when we hit to 1,000, we start making good money on this. When we get to 10,000, we make really good money. So make some ad revenue.
Yep.
YouTube will pay us. Actually, the sponsors will pay us.
Right. Not so
But,
much YouTube, but
yeah.
you know,
But checks will come from YouTube. So there's that.
that'd be all right.
So Scotland's first war of independence was anything but a simple underdog story. It was a brutal, messy, and deeply political fight that lasted decades with no shortage of betrayals, guerrilla warfare, and moments of sheer against the odds triumph. From William Wallace and Andrew Moray's defiant stand at Stirling Bridge to Robert le Bruce smashing Edward II's army of Bannockburn, Scotland clawed its way to freedom through tactical genius, relentless resilience, and let's be honest, a lot of sheer stubbornness.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a fight against English rule, but also a fight within Scotland itself, as nobles like John Comyn and Bruce played their own violent Game of Thrones, literally murder included. And of course, this war left behind more than just historical records. It gave us legends. Wallace became a symbol of resistance, even if Braveheart took a chainsaw to the facts. Bruce's victory at Bannockburn turned him into a folk hero, forever linked to stories like the persistent spider in the cave, which, true or not, is a great metaphor for how often he had to start over. The English, despite their armies, castles, and war chests, couldn't break Scotland's spirit, and after years of back and forth bloodshed, they had to admit defeat with the Treaty of Edinburgh-Northampton in 1328. Bruce got his crown, Scotland got its independence for a while, and Edward II got overthrown by his wife. Ouch.
Yeah.
So, what's the takeaways? Scotland didn't win its freedom in a single rousing speech or dramatic cavalry charge. It won through decades of war strategy and sheer bloody mindedness. Wallace and Moray struck the first blows. Bruce and his guerrilla tactics wore the English down, and Bannockburn delivered the knockout punch. It was not an easy road, but there's one thing history has proven. It's that you should never underestimate the Scots. And with that, we close this chapter of Scotland's hard-fought independence through, although trust us, this story isn't over yet.
Yeah.
So,
No.
Braveheart versus reality. We've alluded to a few things.
Okay.
I want to get this out there so we got some time. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, this everything leading up to now really hasn't had a whole lot of Wallace.
no,
It's been little snippets here and there.
you got to remember that the reason he was a bigger thorn in the side of the English is because he was in the South.
Yeah.
He was in the lowlands. He was closer to the border.
Right. He was the more prominent for
Right.
England.
Right. The English army also sailed around to try and take it from the north, which is where Moray became the thorn in the side. But
Yeah.
Wallace and Moray also collaborated a lot, and Moray was the more tactical technician as far as warfare goes. And so Wallace was really reporting to him. He was really taking the orders and taking the tactics from Moray and applying them rather than doing the guerrilla. The guerrilla warfare was more Robert the Bruce than it was William Wallace.
Yeah.
So
It also makes you wonder, you know, like the friendship they had prior to anything going into it. I mean, the acquaintance or anything. What was it more or less like?
they didn't know each other before this started. It wasn't like they came from the same village.
Yeah.
So they were brought together by the crisis, by the common goal. So
But then basically having an enemy set in between them afterwards.
right, common enemy.
Yeah.
Makes an ally.
Right.
So, and it's not the enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's
The enemy of my enemy is also
yeah. In this
It's
case,
just-
it was just they had
It's just England.
they had
Yeah.
a common
Yeah.
foe.
Yeah.
So strength in numbers. You got your land, I got my land. Let's take them on.
Right.
So.
Yep.
So while Braveheart is a fantastic movie, which I think we can all agree on that.
Of course.
You know, if you like dramatic speeches, questionable costume choices, and oddly Australian sounding William Wallace,
yes.
it plays fast and loose with history, really, really fast and really, really loose. Let's break down some of the biggest differences between the film and reality using what we've covered today. So, number one, William Wallace and the start of the war. In the movie, Wallace is portrayed as the singular driving force behind the First War of Scottish Independence. The war kicks off when English soldiers kill his wife, triggering his personal vendetta that magically turns into a full-scale rebellion.
Mhm.
In reality, the war was already in full swing before Wallace even picked up a sword.
Right.
So he joined, he didn't start.
Yeah.
Andrew Moray was just as, if not more important in the early resistance against English, particularly in the north of Scotland. Wallace and Moray fought together at Stirling Bridge, and Moray's death afterward was a huge loss for Scotland. As we talked about, Wallace kind of fell apart after Moray died because Moray was a tactician.
Right.
So, and then
He was kind of aimless at that point.
and then he figured it out, and then he got going again, and then he got captured, and that was done.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Stretched
Something-
and cut.
Right. So it's something the movie Braveheart doesn't really
Well, no, it wouldn't though.
that
would
doesn't
it?
even mention it.
No.
So, Battle of Stirling Bridge, or the Battle of Stirling Field. So, in the movie, Stirling Bridge is a wide open battlefield where Wallace and his men used spears to counter English cavalry. No bridges in sight. In reality, the battle was fought at an actual bridge, which played a critical role in Wallace and Moray's victory. Again, this is Moray's tactics, not Wallace.
Right.
The English were trapped and forced to cross in small numbers, allowing the Scots to slaughter them efficiently. Leaving out the bridge is like making a movie about D-Day and forgetting the beach. So,
What a beach.
right.
Wow.
Robert the Bruce, traitor, hero, or just really conflicted. In the movie, Robert the Bruce is a weak-willed noble who betrays Wallace at the Battle of Falkirk, only to be whacked with guilt. Or racked with guilt, as my notes say. English words.
Hey, so Robert the Bruce, by the way,
Yes.
in the movies and everything you see about him, he's always portrayed as a large, like bulky,
Hulking
girthy-
man?
Yes. And I
He's
thought
a
I read
girthy.
something the other day that said he was not actually that big of a person.
He wasn't. I mean, keep in mind the average height back then was probably closer to 5'3", 5'4",
Yes.
and he might have been 5'5".
And was like almost skinny in
Yeah.
a sense.
Yeah.
But very agile and would go. and
He was
do
very
everything.
smart about
Yeah,
what he
he
did.
just
yeah.
he was strong in a sense, but he wasn't this 6'2" large gargantuan individual.
Exactly, but again, Hollywood.
Yeah, I know.
So, got to take that for what it's worth. So Robert the Bruce is let's see, in the movie he's a weak-willed noble who betrays Wallace at the Battle of Falkirk, only to rack with guilt. His father is portrayed as a leprosy-ridden schemer controlling his every move. In reality, Bruce was never at Falkirk, let alone betraying Wallace there. He did switch allegiances between Scotland and England at times, like many nobles trying to survive. But by 1306, he was fully committed to independence, so much so that he murdered John Comyn in a church to secure his claim to the throne.
Robert the Bruce was 5'6".
There you
Okay,
go.
so he's smaller than I am.
Yeah.
And I'm not a large individual. by
And
What, 5
Any-
5'6.5"?
without shoes, yeah. If I got my boots on, I'll hit 5'8". So whatever.
Whoa.
How big was William Wallace, the real William Wallace? Because they even. So one of the documentaries that I was watching, there was a propaganda pamphlet that was put out that made William Wallace seem like this giant, this lumbering person.
He was.
He was.
He was.
He was
A
what?
large man,
How large?
like 6'3".
Details
6'4".
help on this.
6'7".
Holy
He was-
shit!
He was not 6'7". Every documentary that I saw said that he was of average height.
Although William Wallace did not look like Mel Gibson, he was certainly an intimidating figure, standing 6'7" and wielding a sword that was over 5 feet long. He was someone you would like to have on your side.
There was a propaganda pamphlet that was put out that listed him as a total giant. And they actually allude to this in the movie when he's doing his big speech, what would you do without freedom? blah,
Oh
blah,
yeah,
blah.
yeah.
And he says, "You're not William Wallace. He's 7 feet tall." He's like, "Yeah." And he's, I'll take out the English in one fell swoop by shooting fireballs out my eyes and lightning bolts at my arse. They allude to that. It was actually
Well, that's when he gets the rock and gets in the battle with his buddy. And
There's actually several sources on here that put him at 6'7".
everything that I saw in the documentaries.
Well, documentaries are probably right, but
I'm just saying,
yeah.
said that he was of average height.
Well,
which back then would have been the 5'4", 5'5",
Yeah.
5'6".
Yeah.
okay. How
If
about
if he was a little taller, he may have been like what, 6 foot?
this one's got him at 5'10"?
Okay.
Which
So
would still be hulking back then.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
yeah,
that's still today's 6'4".
yeah, exactly. But he was, yeah. But these propaganda pamphlets, and there was another one that was written, 100 years later, whatever, that listed him at 7 foot, and they didn't use blue face paint back then.
Well, no.
That was actually hundreds of years before. When the Romans were assaulting them, that's what they used blue face paint to take on the Romans. So. Anyway, next point. William Wallace's death was brutal but accurate, mostly. In the movie, Wallace is captured and executed after shouting "freedom" in a dramatic Hollywood moment.
Mhm.
In reality, his execution was actually even worse than in the movie. Wallace was hanged, drawn, and quartered, meaning he was hanged but not killed, and then disemboweled while still alive, which they allude to that. I mean, they don't show it, but they show it in the movie.
Taking a knife across the gut.
And then he's chopped into pieces and didn't yell freedom like the movie says he did.
Right.
He, just sheer medieval nightmare fuel is really all that is.
Puked and drowned in his own vomit.
Yeah, basically. It's not good how they do. I mean, they put him on the rack and they stretch him as far as they can go, hang him, and then just before he's about to die, they let him go, and then they sit him down and they pull him again with the horses and the rack, and then they slit the stomach, and then they pull out all of his entrails out, set him next to him. That was the just sadistic part of it. Is they would they wouldn't just like pull him and then set him aside. They put him literally next to them so they could see their intestines, their stomach,
Huh.
all of that. It was just torture at its finest.
Yeah, no part of that sounds good.
No,
No, and I mean you're
Oh,
from the pain and everything else, you're gonna pass out, you're gonna puke, you're gonna vomit, you're gonna do all kinds of things. Like you're not gonna be able to withstand that for
Right.
very long.
but
It's gonna happen, and then you're just done.
the art behind medieval torture is you would pass out. They had ways to bring you back,
Yeah.
and then they would continue what they were doing. You'd pass out, they'd bring you back. It might take a half hour or whatever, but
right.
okay.
But that's how they did it.
Yeah, they were patient. I mean, that's all they had to do that day.
They had smelling salts or whatever back then. They
Ish,
weren't
yeah.
Smelling salts.
It's some things that they could use
wake
to
you up.
heighten the senses again.
Bring it back.
So the Battle of Bannockburn, which was a fight that never happened for Wallace. In the movie, the final scene implies that Wallace's death immediately led to Robert the Bruce defeating the English at Bannockburn. Bannockburn happened in 1314, which was 9 years after Wallace died. Wallace never saw, this victory, and by the time Bannockburn happened, Bruce was a seasoned guerrilla warfare expert who had spent years reclaiming Scotland castle by castle, Film makes it look like a single spontaneous battle for freedom instead of the culmination of years of brutal war and strategic planning. The whole Princess Isabella love affair, we talked about that.
Yep.
Wallace has a passionate love affair with Princess Isabella of France, and it's heavily implied that he's the father of Edward III. Isabella was a literal child at the time. She was about 10 when Wallace was executed in 1305. Not only was this romance completely fabricated, but suggesting that Wallace is Edward III's father is about as historically accurate as claiming he invented the internet.
Right, but this is the same type of thing that we've said for a lot of these points. It makes for a really good movie,
Really good movie. It's got a love affair.
but
Yeah,
not.
a little bit,
second
little
one of
bit
the
fibbing
movie.
goes a long way.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So, Braveheart's an entertaining film, but it takes massive liberties with historical facts. Wallace was important, but he was one of many leaders in Scotland's fight for independence. Robert the Bruce was not Wallace's reluctant sidekick, but rather a brilliant military leader who fought a long strategic war against England. The battles were more complex and tactical than the film suggested. They show them as just running into each other and killing each other.
Right.
They show them as farmers with, wearing kilts and holding sticks and maybe an axe or something. No, they were as armored and suited up as what the English were. They looked almost exactly like them.
Yeah.
Many of them had fought in battles for the English in other countries.
Right.
So they had their armor, they had their weapons, they knew their tactics, but their, I guess, saving grace is that they knew the terrain better than what the English did. So, there I was. The battle was more complex and tactical
There
than the
it
film
is.
suggests, and major figures like Andrew Moray and John Cooman are either erased or misrepresented. That said, if Braveheart got people interested in Scottish history, then maybe it did some good. Just remember, if you really want the true story of Scotland's fight for independence, you've got to dig deeper than Hollywood. And if you stuck with us this far, congratulations. Kind of been all over the rails, but now you know way more about Scottish history than Mel Gibson did when he made that movie.
Fair enough.
So there you have the first Scottish War for Independence. And just know that shortly thereafter they had a second. Because what's one war for independence without another?
I mean, we had 2 world wars. Why not have 2 Scottish
Well,
wars?
The British reattacked us in 1812.
Yeah.
So we kind of had the same thing.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
Hmm.
So
Like it.
Yeah.
yeah, got a theme going this year. So
Okay.
or this season, not this year, but this season. So you'll
Well, I guess we'll see what happens
Yes.
next one.
I'm now that I know the theme more or less,
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued about what's going to
the
happen.
next one's gonna be even
because those listening, I have no idea.
I just as I
No, he dropped this bombshell on us
yeah,
with everybody else. Yeah.
during the show.
Yeah.
yeah.
As
So
I laugh
we are
like
just
Scooby-Doo.
as oh my god, what's going to happen next? Is you are.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's
Yep.
the evil laugh over there. I'm like,
Like Zoink Scoob. Anyway. Today in history.
Yeah, let's do it.
And here we go.
Well, today in history is a little bit different than
Hot.
that's a
did
that's
you
a,
touch it?
I touched the wrong part.
that's a heater.
I know. I thought it was a plastic piece.
That radiant
Nope.
heater
No,
over there gets a
it
little
was-
warm, huh?
Part of the heater.
Yeah. Well, today in history is going to look a little different than it has
It's going to
Okay.
look completely different.
because I don't have the slideshow that we normally do. But that's just,
That's okay. Fair enough.
I'll wear this one. I got everything to you late. I usually give
and
you at
that's
least a
okay.
week.
Right. And I had
God, you son.
2 days and I was
You
driving
suck.
and then the weekend and I just didn't have a chance to do it. But
I
we're
mean,
still
it
going to
was
discuss it. There's also not a ton of stuff on this one. So
No, it's
all
pretty
right.
light. And I tried to find some things.
That's fair.
It's a weekday.
That's okay.
It's a
Sorry.
weekday.
WEAK day.
Yes. But as always, our Today in History is brought to you by Ty's Country Wood Shop. And I've got a picture here. Time spent amongst the trees is never wasted time. Again, his artwork is insane. And I hope someday Justin owns some of it.
Someday I will.
Someday.
Someday. I got a day gig again.
You
I
know
can-
what? I'm about to go buy like a Casey thing and just drop it off at his house. One day be like, hey, now you own something from Ty and you can't get rid of it, even though you're an Irish fan and you
look,
suck.
I love Ty
Now,
so much. And I
Also
will
a
take,
Niners fan.
Yeah, I know.
I love
But
Ty
you
so
own
much.
stuff.
I'll take
Sure
that
do.
over to your house and hang it up for you.
Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well,
There you go.
I guess.
It's gonna get great use
somewhere.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Just not in my house if it's
I will
Kansas
look
City.
at it all the time.
But yeah, his work is incredible, and we like to showcase it as much as we can. But
No,
today
I
in
think
history,
I think I'm due. I need another one.
need another one? Fair enough. And then you can find out exactly where you're at this whole tattoo thing and what his bestseller is.
I know we haven't had an update.
Nope, not yet. But I think he was bowling at the time and might have missed it, so that's okay. 1296, Edward I sacks Berwick upon Tweed during armed conflict between Scotland and England. We talked about that
What?
entire show. But
How
it's
did
the
we miss that one?
First one. So there's that.
Chronologically, it's first two.
Yeah. In 1822, the Florida Territory was created in the United States.
Hey,
I wonder if that means that we could find out something else that's happening in Florida sometime
Maybe.
around today. We'll see.
Maybe.
possible.
Then 1855, the origins of the American Civil War. Border ruffians
Oh, those
Oh.
bastards.
from Missouri invade Kansas and force election to pro-slavery legislature. So
Those sons of bitches.
the Missourians came into Kansas and were wanting us to become pro-slavery. And for a while, I think it worked.
Well, Kansas and Missouri came in at the same time. One was a slave state. One was a to satisfy the agreement that the country had at the time.
I always knew
So-
there was something weird about them folks from that.
From Missouri.
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 Misery.
Yep. 1867, Alaska is purchased from Russia
Hey!
for $7.2 million, which sounds like a lot of money on the top of it, but by acre, 2 cents per acre.
Yeah.
By the United States Secretary of State William H. Seward.
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 Now,
Seward,
now it
Alaska.
is literally
Yeah.
like top 10 most expensive
Yeah.
acreage by whatever like cost. I mean, it's like
Huge mistake.
the
on
America
Russia's
got
part.
it back then for 2 cents an acre, and now it's just it's hard to actually buy acreage there unless you actually have money.
I've actually learned some stuff about Alaska in the last week or so, which is
Yeah.
kind of fascinating. Do you know that the 5 largest cities by land are in Alaska?
As far as
Size, actual physical
Yeah.
size.
So you're talking like Fairbanks, Anchorage,
Seward.
Yeah, they're
Seward.
the 5
probably
the
not
5
Seward.
largest cities in the United States are all in Alaska
Area wise.
by area. Also, their capital city is not. You cannot get to Juneau, Alaska by car. If you want to go to Juneau right now, you go by plane or you go by boat.
So when you talk
Which is
about area,
nuts.
you're talking about like actual
Size wise.
acreage and footprint, right?
Yes.
I thought OKC was in there.
No. That they're all in Alaska. I think. Are you looking it up?
No, I was telling my
Oh.
son goodnight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, they are the largest cities in the United States, which are all in Alaska, which is crazy. 85 total sales by tie. Top 2 are the Kansas Buffalo Round and the American Flag Nails Cross at 14, soon to be 15. So you might be getting either Kansas Buffalo.
Well, I
which is
know
tough.
how many did we say you had to
we
sell
said
of each?
50, I think, is what you said, but
Did we run it up to 100?
I don't know what you,
I remember 50, but
you also just were like ready to get a tattoo of that buffalo that night when you
it's
did
a
it.
sweet picture though.
I
get
don't
it.
know if you were just like had 3 too many beers that night, or you're like, I'm getting a tattoo of one of his artwork pieces. And I'm like,
I listen. Therapy's
Cool.
therapy, and
I
this
mean,
is
at
my
the-
therapy.
and if at the end of a night you kind of go, I need this, then do it. Don't let it stop you. But
Oh, he won't.
I mean, the
Can't back
Kansas,
down now. I'm live on air so many times. What am I gonna do? No,
I think whatever his 100th sale, if he's at 85, I think his 100th sale should be what you get a tattoo of.
whatever he sold the most of.
No, his 100th sale, whatever that is.
Whatever. He's at 85 right now.
Don't you dare make something crazy and make it the 100 sale. Like,
But are you in for that? If his 100th sale, whatever that piece is, you get a tattoo at least inspired by that.
as long as it is not insanely just absurd.
Just for the sale. I don't think he does stuff like that.
Yeah.
He doesn't do that.
Like, I'm not. I mean, if he sells a semi or something for his 100, What,
Right, something.
why get a semi tattooed on me?
No, I get it, but like,
But if he does the buffalo or
if
he
the
does the
buffalo is
daisy,
the
a sunflower, you do a sunflower. You get a sunflower
I
one
say
or
just
something
get,
like that.
just get the buffalo.
just do the buffalo.
You want to do the buffalo? Get the buffalo.
Get it.
So we can move on to the next point.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. And in 1981, U.S. President Ronald Reagan is shot in the chest outside a Washington, D.C. hotel by John Hinckley Jr. 3 others are wounded in the same incident.
Bradley was one of his Secret Service guys, which is why we got the Bradley bill now.
Okay,
The background check for guns.
nice. Cool.
Like that.
Yep.
Happy birthday to a couple people. We're kind of going through this quick, but that's because
That's
there's no slideshow.
That's fine.
Vincent van Gogh,
Man, go.
if you've ever heard of him. He is
I
a-
love you. Here's part of my ear.
Yeah.
He was a psycho, man. Great artist.
Dutch French painter and illustrator. Everybody has seen his work.
I believe he was an impressionistic era artist.
Don't know enough about art.
I took art history like 100 years ago.
I believe it. And he died in 1890. So he was not that far away from like what we would consider modern times, if you truly think about it. 1890 is not that far off.
Post-impressionist painter.
All right.
Ah,
Well, okay.
it's close.
Today's birthday for John Aston. If you don't know who he is,
Ah,
he was the patriarch of the Addams family.
Gomez Adams.
Gomez Addams.
Really?
Yeah. Today is his birthday. And
Here's a fun fact. If I can get to it. We'll do this route. So, Morticia Adams, the actress.
yeah.
Hold on, I'm trying to,
Wait, when era? Say
the original Adams
Okay.
family. I'm trying to pull it up because I can't not remember her name to save my life.
Okay.
The one that looks
don't
like
claim
Cher?
to.
Or
Yeah.
Elvira looks like her.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Actually, anyway, so we've kind of alluded to it last week. I was in Amarillo for training for my new
Some
job,
work
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
and the actress that played Morticia Adams was from Amarillo,
Okay.
and her childhood home is now landmarked there. And
Oh, cool.
we drove by like 6 times.
Nice.
I mean, it's weird.
And
Amarillo's
yet
kind
you
of
don't remember her name.
off the top of my head. I don't. I'm sorry.
Dick.
I know. Not the reunion. Where's the damn? Anyway, somebody else want to look it up.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Anyway, so Amarillo is divided by 2 counties, and we're only, with my new job, legally able to be in 1 county, and it's in the more ran down side of Amarillo.
Okay.
But she grew up,
Angelica.
no, that's from the movie. I know
Nope.
that.
Not that one.
Carolyn Jones.
Yes.
Okay.
So, anyway, she's born and raised in Amarillo. We
Cool.
drove by her house a few times. It's nothing special to look. It's not like Kirstie Alley's house here in town. You
I
know.
didn't know that was her house was here.
Oh yeah, she went to East High.
I didn't grow up here.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying she went to East High,
Huh.
and she actually bought 2 houses along Douglas, right across from Clifton Square.
Okay.
And while she was still alive, she'd be back here for Christmas every year. And she had this. So in the movie Look Who's Talking, they had that big giant cutout Christmas village.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
She bought that from the production company. She put it up in her front yard every year.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about her is that my neighbor, when I was growing up, across basically the alley or whatever,
Mhm.
I'm not going to say names, but
Mhm.
Kirstie Alley's best friend was my neighbor back there,
Oh,
That's cool.
and
she
Like-
kept strong ties to Wichita. area,
And-
Kansas.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
and
Yeah, that's cool.
I didn't grow up in Wichita.
right.
I grew up in a town.
As I
you
said,
know,
to the Wichita
up-
area. Yeah.
And it's, then again, it's only 45, 50 minutes, maybe 60, whatever, to get down there. But she would be down there every now and then.
Yeah.
And
That's cool.
She would
Yeah.
walk across Douglas and go eat there, Clifton Square at
Yeah.
Ziggy's, and it
Yeah.
I do love Ziggy's.
Yeah.
I'm a
we
big-
eat their lunch about once a week.
yeah.
But yeah, she was in town a lot. What's crazy was, she's in town in Wichita. I lived in Wichita. She died in Tampa, Florida, when I was down in Tampa, Florida, running a race.
Dang.
I mean,
No
just,
way.
just the connection. It was just weird.
Huh.
And we heard that she died when we were down there, and then days later we found out she was at a She had another house down there in Tampa. I think it's St. Petersburg, actually.
Huh.
So
Weird.
It's just crazy.
Hmm.
So Adam's family, yay!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, happy birthday to Eric Clapton.
Hey,
For those that
Man, what a guy, by
Of
the
the
way.
age.
Yardbirds,
Yeah.
Cream,
Yeah.
Derek and the Dominoes. Solo.
Considered to be one of the greatest guitar players of ever.
I don't-
Ever? Yeah.
I don't know anybody who would debate that. He's on everybody's top 10.
Well, I watched an interview at one point, and I don't remember who it was that was being interviewed, but they ended up asking them, "What's it like to be the greatest guitar player ever?" And he goes, "I don't know. Ask Eric Clapton."
Yeah. To be that synonymous.
Yeah.
That's insane. To be the Kleenex of guitar players.
Or the Band-Aid.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
That's nuts. Another musician has a birthday today as well. American rapper and actor Mick Hammer.
McCam. Oh,
Mick Hammer.
he's a Scottish.
Mick Hammer.
He's Irish.
For those that don't know, that's actually MC Hammer.
Yeah.
We all know.
Ding 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 ding. That's not him.
That's not him. Can't touch this. Just remember, you're too legit. You're too legit to quit.
Yeah.
Legit to quit.
But I'm not too legit.
Hmm.
So for that, I cannot quit.
Yes. Folks that have sadly passed us on this day
I'm
in
sorry.
history.
I forgot that MC Hammer or Stanley Kirk Burrell did Bumps in a Bump. Oh,
Oh,
the 80s and 90s were rough.
yeah. Yeah.
Big Oakland guy, though.
It's fair.
Moving on.
2002, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother of the United Kingdom, passed after being born in 1900.
100.
Passed in 2002. Is that right? Huh. Thought she was older.
She was older.
Thought she was like 175. And
She's got the gravestone with no ending date.
yeah, right.
She's 102, correct?
Yeah.
She's queen of the United Kingdom and the dominions of the British Commonwealth from 11th of December 1936 to the 6th of February 1952.
Yeah, and then
So
Queen
she
Elizabeth-
lived 50 more years.
Yeah, and then Queen Elizabeth II
Yeah.
was the one that took over, and
Yes.
she was forever.
Yeah.
And she was the same though. Like I just feel like they lived thousands
Well,
of years.
Queen Elizabeth was born the exact same day, the exact same year as Marilyn Monroe.
Really?
If that puts a nice little twist in your brain.
Okay.
They were literally the exact same age. And Martin Luther King was born within a couple of days of them too.
Huh.
So, three of the most influential people of the
Within like a
arguably the
week
20th
of each
century
other.
are within at least a few days. Yeah.
Yeah.
All in the
That's
same
crazy.
year. Yeah. Anyway.
We
And
need to find some astrology on that and be like, okay, if anybody's ever gonna have kids, do it now.
and 2021 was the passing of G. Gordon Liddy, who, if you don't know,
G. Gordon.
was the chief operative in the Watergate scandal. So,
He was convicted.
yeah, actually convicted.
American lawyer and FBI agent who's convicted of conspiracy, burglary, and illegal wiretapping for his role in Watergate.
Yep.
He
Don't do bad things.
He looks like a bad detective in a 1980s like episodal show.
Hmm.
It's got a strong mustache game, but strong eyebrow game too.
I don't know what do you got showing here, JT?
G.
he-
Gordon Liddy.
He's not showing anything.
No, I'm not. I'll share
And
it.
you don't even have you don't have your camera feed up. That's just Wichita.
Well, what happened to my camera?
I don't know,
Wow.
but you just have Wichita. It looks
Yeah,
like
you're just like gone all of a sudden. You
like
were
a-
there, and then I thought you were sharing.
that might be
something.
Wichita. It might just be a river confluence, but it looks like
It
Wichita.
looks like where the
Whoa.
little and the big
yeah,
going together.
yeah, because that's the Epic Center.
Yeah,
Anyway,
It's epic.
Justin,
Wow.
Justin's gone.
yeah.
I'm still here.
While you're here, I can see your ring pulsing whenever you speak.
Yeah, every time you say something.
Yeah, but
I don't know which one. it is.
anyway, what are you doing?
Trying to find my camera.
Okay, well, yeah, you're. Who's that?
Nah, you be all right.
We know what you look like.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
It's all good. Well,
There
hey, there it
there
is.
it is.
Okay, coming back.
I'm all kinds of weird colors though.
It's the effects of your singing, is what Paul
Oh, dang, Paul.
Want to have a race?
Yeah. Well, thank Paul.
For
if-
those that
if
don't
he
know,
could've just
Paul
been-
only has one real leg and he wears a prosthetic and he just got
I just took a low blow.
challenged to a
Oh.
race by a guy that runs long distances.
Yeah. I just
for a
took Paul out
hobby.
at the knee.
Oh,
That's
which
where it went.
one? He's an above the knee amputee.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we're getting dirty.
hey,
Wow.
he's been commenting on my singing poorly for way too long.
Mhm.
Want to go for a run, Paul?
Trace.
Jeez.
Oh, I know, low blow. I'm sorry.
No, I
I'm
don't.
sorry.
I don't care. He finds it funny. I make fun of him in public loud enough for others to hear me.
That's fair.
That's all good.
That's fair.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How about some Florida man to
Do we
kinda
have
soothe
Florida
us down?
man?
I got a little Florida man. Yeah.
Okay. All
All
right.
right, ready?
So I'm a huge cooker, by the way. I love cooking. I love doing all these other things. And so when I read this story, I went, okay, this is going to be awesome.
Nice.
The title to it is He Was Drunk, Stoned, and Naked. Then out came the George Foreman grill.
Oh my God. Okay. What do we got?
So, and it's not going to go as dirty as you think it is, but
Boo.
we've
I
got
mean-
we got some detail on him, right?
Boo.
So one evening, two officers from here's the town, by the way, Niceville,
Yeah, it's right there by Destin and Fort Walton
Yeah.
Beach. Yeah, yeah.
Niceville.
It's actually the northern side of Eglin Air Force Base where I was.
Yeah.
stationed.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Well,
okay.
two officers went to assist firefighters at a home in Niceville. When they arrived, the officers saw white smoke coming from the house and could smell something burning, according to the incident report. So, a man, later identified as James Gregory Cunningham, answered the door and said he was sorry and then just closed it.
Sorry.
My bad.
Yeah. The individual, by the way, was naked
As he should
and
be.
in a smoke-filled house with items on fire inside of it, such as towels.
White.
Yeah,
Okay.
they have it. They have it in the report with the air quotes, such as
Okay.
towels. James showed no sign of understanding the danger he was in, came back to the door, and for his safety, the officers detained Cunningham and brought him some pants. Once safely out of the
Oh,
house,
they brought him pants. Good for
Yeah.
So
them.
thoughtful. Of them.
once safely out of the house, Cunningham admitted that he had consumed 2 liters of vodka and smoked some weed. Firefighters went inside with oxygen masks and to put out the fire. James Gregory had been drunk and stoned, pulled out a George Foreman, and started making cookies.
Up your
That's-
butt, Joe Boo.
Yeah. So once the fire department contained Mr. Cunningham, the baking cookies on his George Foreman grill and then left unattended,
like I am right
caught on fire.
now. Left unattended. Ah.
Mr. Cunningham decided throwing towels on them was going to put them out.
You just gotta
Perfect.
keep living, man.
Yes.
Livin.
Yeah. EMS arrived on
Danger at the
scene.
soundboard.
And the 53-year-old
Oh.
refused medical treatment despite obvious burns on his hands,
Up your butt,
smoke
Joe Boo.
damage to his lungs, and advised James if he had stayed in the house, he could have been seriously injured or even died.
Yeah, he could have.
Yeah. Huh.
Trouble
So
with
welcome to your
Scotland
Florida man.
is that it's full of Scots.
He's not drunk,
No.
which is the weird part about this.
Who?
Justin.
I know, it's funny, right?
He's not drunk, and this is him.
You just gotta keep living, man.
L-I-V-I-N.
Livin.
Yes, you did.
Paul said he's up to the challenge.
I know.
Watch your knees. He'll go for a low blow.
I'm nimble. Something he's not. Sorry. Take a little more scotch, please.
You're not sorry. Don't say you are. if
I'm
you're
really not. He
No.
started this.
Yeah.
He started this a long time ago.
Yep.
It's all right. It's all right. I know it's all in good fun.
yeah.
Even though if he might really hate my singing, that's fine.
Yeah.
So,
So, not the greatest of Florida man, but
Yeah.
the fact that I like cooking, I figured going down that path of, and I
like
probably-
cooking. He
I am-
like to cook.
I'm gonna have
This
to
works.
try
cooking food and beverage for
making
years.
cookies on a George Foreman now. I want to see if it actually works.
You know, let me know how that works out because I am curious.
I mean,
Little cooking spray
I
on it.
can
and-
guarantee you, I'm not gonna throw towels on a George Foreman to try and put out a fire.
As you shouldn't.
don't do it high or 2 liters of vodka drunk.
I want
Please
to know.
don't.
I want to know
He's contemplating how drunk would I
alcohol
be.
level. Like, what was your blood alcohol content after 2 liters of vodka?
Yeah, a lot.
I mean, you've got to be on the verge of death.
Yeah.
You have an alcohol blood content, not a blood alcohol content at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah. I mean,
Right.
it's just like what blood?
Yeesh.
Alcohol.
Eesh. Good one. As always,
Yeah.
Florida man does not disappoint.
Never disappoints. Some are better gems than others, but all gems still shine bright.
Exactly. Oh, Lordy.
Man, I just came up with that
You
one.
did. Look
That was
at you.
good. Look at me. New dogs or old dogs can learn new tricks, and then I'd go and screw up.
You
Right?
just gotta keep living, man.
L-I-V-I-N.
Paul is
Oh.
vicious, by the way.
Oh, he can be. It's all right. He can't catch me. So, anyway. My segues are on point today.
Yeah.
I'm
Anyway.
digging it.
Today's big takeaway is brought to us by nobody.
L-I-V-I-N.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Just gotta keep it living, man. We'll start with Ron this time. What's your big takeaway from the day?
They say no war can be won in a day, and Scotland obviously proved that one. I mean, it took at
A
least
couple decades, yeah.
at least a movie.
At least a movie.
Yeah.
Took 2 hours.
It's nuts what can happen when the masses all come together
Yeah.
and decide we've had enough. And I mean, they weren't the first, they weren't the last, but they definitely had like this
Right.
mojo about them.
It's another one that people just don't know enough about it, and what they do know is probably wrong.
Yeah,
So to get the deets on it it's pretty cool.
right.
I mean, there's a lot of really interesting stuff that happened during this, and then the battle tactics that were revolutionary at the time.
Like that porcupine maneuver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Or the longbow.
Yeah.
Or I mean, just all these things that were innovative at the time that were, we think of kind of as common medieval
Right.
war tactics,
Right.
battle tactics, but they were
Yeah.
revolutionary at the time. So,
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Oh, pretty cool.
Chance.
If you don't have anything to, let me
Try it again.
Let me think about it here.
All right.
So if you don't have what,
Play the big takeaways intro.
yeah, you should
again.
probably just do
All
that.
right, let's try it again. And go.
I was trying to think of the Keanu Reeves quote from.
Well,
a
we knew
while
you were
back.
trying to think,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't.
well, it wasn't working out.
You
It was
can
like
smell it.
it was the whole
It wasn't the heater this
fight
time.
for what you love. If you don't have anything that you love to fight for, then what's the word or point of fighting for it?
I feel like you're close, but
Yeah, and I couldn't remember the.
We
quote
get the point of it, though,
But
yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
it's in seeing and hearing everything today. I mean, Robert the Bruce basically had something he loved and was fighting tooth and nail to keep that. So if you have something worth fighting for and you love it that much, continue fighting.
Right.
if you don't fight for your love, what kind of love do you have?
Yeah.
There it is. He was close.
Yeah.
And he got the first half right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
That's pretty awesome.
my big takeaway is that it's crazy how snubbed a lot of the major characters. I don't want to use the word character, that's not right, but participants in the Scottish War for Independence, just how snubbed something like Andrew Moray and Robert the Bruce is really downplayed. And there's tons of generals I could have thrown in there
Right.
on the English side that were, again, they were innovative in what they did. And just
Yeah.
it's just crazy how time has eroded those names away. So
Yeah.
And that's not even just Hollywood's fault. And we've said a lot
No,
of
it's
different things
not.
between Hollywood taking their liberties and what actually has happened. But it does just get lost.
Yeah.
And
you really want to take the time to
I mean, it's 700 years ago at this point.
Right.
Let's
right. Things get lost.
yeah.
I mean, shoot, my kid loses this stuff in a week, so 700 years.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just it's crazy how many major participants in that war have just been lost to time.
Yeah.
So and again, if this type of stuff interests you, then you are probably the type of person that, I hear that name, I want to go check it out. So you do a little research on your own. It's the lives that these people led, whether it's folklore or not. We may or may not know, but it's just it's intriguing to say the least. So
For sure.
So yeah. So on that note, we'll go ahead and wrap this pig up. 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Yes. We're going back to Mondays.
2 weeks from
What
tomorrow.
do you got?
We're going to put on a little ditty about a little ship called the Titanic.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
It's a little ship.
A little ship called the Titanic.
Nowadays.
So,
Hmm.
so we'll see how it goes.
Were they
Down.
rowing somewhere, or what happened?
Yeah, they were trying to cross the Atlantic and
Oh, okay.
iceberg dead ahead. I'm going to play that sound clip a lot. So why not?
Yeah, but I mean, it made a bunch of trips, didn't it?
No.
No?
Nope.
No.
Just the one.
5, 7.
They made like 2/3 of a trip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess
Something
I
about
guess
a
we
guy
gotta-
named Jack.
He was never on the ship.
No, some English aristocrat banged a homeless
Yeah.
guy and
Oh, really?
then threw a $250,000 gem off a ship. So
None of that happened.
none of that happened. We'll talk conspiracy theory about who Jack ended up being. Some conspiracy theories to talk about.
He's the Great Gatsby.
See?
I do have already a couple
See?
of fun tidbits of knowledge
He
that I know
knows.
that
Yeah.
that are going to be
Yeah.
some good ones.
So
Cool.
as always, make sure you guys support us. Get all your friends to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also find us on Spotify or Pandora or Apple Podcasts. Leave us reviews on there if you are following us on there. All the reviews, the 5-star reviews actually move us up in the search engine. So the more good reviews that we get, the more eyes we'll get in front of.
Yeah.
So make sure that you use whatever platform you listen to us on. Make sure you do subscribe there. Make sure you do leave us a review there. Again, shoot us those emails, dirtyriverchronicles@gmail.com. We like to hear the constructive criticism on that. We don't want to hear how good we do. It's that really doesn't
I mean,
help
you
us.
can say it, but also
Tell us that in person.
Yeah.
If you feel the need to tell us that we did a great job, or leave a comment during the show like Paul did. He said, as always, great show. And we appreciate all of our listeners who listen live. Take the time out to do it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're going to shoot us an email, just get some constructive criticism, some
I'd love for you guys to do this sometime or
hey, I'm really interested in this era of history.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear you guys' take on it.
we can dabble.
Something like that. We got a small little list of things going that some people have suggested that for those who don't know, we like to take things that happen on the recording day from history and dive into
Yeah.
a little deeper into it. So we got a list going. So when we run across those throughout history, that we tackle some of those listener suggestions. So by all means, guys, thank you again for a great show. I appreciate you two doing this with me.
Appreciate it.
And we're growing, we're getting better, and by God, soon enough, hopefully before I'm 60, we're getting paid to do this. So
Nice.
on that note,
You better hurry then.
yeah, ain't got much time.
There's the age joke.
On that
First one of
note,
the night.
take you out of the knees.
Mm-hmm.
Say goodbye.
Bye.